Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Good evening. It is Coach Ja. I am here. It is 10 times now. I'm setting up my IG and getting ready for. Um, we have a whole crew of hosts coming on today to share with us um, that are scheduled to be here with us today. Mr. AJ, word artist, will be here, and Mr. Wish as well. Um, we are getting ready to excite the evening, if you would. Um, I am going to I had to send this link out to a few folks. Sending. Um, it is going to be an amazing moment, as always. We try to cover all of the topics that are really important to us, and community topics, um, and that's political and non-political. All the topics we want to talk about. A lot of things that are transpiring in our communities today. Um, and just to be so we understood, this is a free platform for folks to speak, talk about the things that are important to them, all the things that mean something to you that's happening in your community. We're here to talk about that. You can ask your questions. Please ask your questions. If you're tuned in on Facebook, I'm able, because I don't have my laptop here with me, I'm able to see your messages right away. So I ask if you can come on to YouTube and you can ask your questions right here within the feed, and we can talk about them. Topics of discussion, we can discuss them. We can take all that can take place right here on YouTube. I am going to pull up my IG momentarily. I'm just trying to wait for a few messages to come in, and then we'll move to the IG and we'll talk on there. Um, I am excited about today because of the conversations I've had leading up to today. Leading up to what has been going on in our society, in our neighborhoods, in our communities. And I think a lot of what we do not do is we don't have the tough talks that we should have. And AJ, my brother, oh, I just lost
I know it, man. I don't know. I don't know why it's doing this today.
you. know, sometimes technology does what it wants to do, and we just have to get in where we fit in.
I know, and
Um,
that's what it was trying to. That's what I was doing earlier. It wouldn't let me. It wouldn't even let me log in at first. That's why I'm about 3 minutes. I'm like, what in the world?
oh wow,
Your browser is lost my
yeah, you know,
connection. Your
technology
camera.
is son of a gun. But for y'all to just tune in, that is my brother AJ. Um, in the building, man. He's here with me always. We are 10 times now. And
Let me do another medium here.
you going to try to log onto another device?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. I'm going to send Mr. Witz the link as well because I don't know if I sent it to him. Because he
Yeah.
should
This
be.
this one ain't acting right. So let me.
Okay, cool. And I'm still waiting for some of our folks to um, come on in as well. So that's fine. But yeah, so in other news, while we're waiting for our brother to come back, I did a freestyle video premiere just a moment ago, and I'm working on a few things that's about to um, take place, and I'm hoping that you all will be ready to help experience some of those things with myself and my brother, both of my brothers, Mr. AJ, word artist, and Mr. Witz, because there's so much that I do. There's so much work we need to do in our communities, and this is why we started this now. We want to start working on how do we begin the conversations about community, how we begin to start preparing the footsteps that need to be taken. A lot of times we are sitting here um, and we don't know what to do, where to go, who to speak to, and so on and so forth. And we really, really, really need to figure out what our next move is going to be. And you know how to say, make your next move your best move. And we want to make sure we get to a place where that makes sense. And we want to start doing that. There's a lot to learn from one another, a lot we need to do to help one another. And it's all a process. It's all a process. And until we begin to take the steps to make these things we're going to continue to be sitting right here, stuff, and not necessarily having the conversations we need to have about what's next and what we're going to do. And there's so much to say about community work, and I'm sure AJ has a lot to input in that. There's a lot of community stuff that we need to talk about, and things we need to share, and things like that. So one of our guests is actually in the studio now. I'm going to bring him in. Unless you want to say something first, AJ, before I bring our guest in.
Well, I'm saying you bring the guest in, and we'll just have a full conversation. Let them do the introduction. And you see them waiting. They're here. Let's get started.
Absolutely, Mr. Nat Newton, how you doing, brother?
Hey, John, it's great to be here. I'm good.
Thank you.
Everyone? How you doing? How's AJ?
Excellent, man. Excellent. How you doing? Glad to have you here. Give us the introduction, man. Give us some so people know about you. Just what you want to tell them.
You got it. I'm an attorney here in Charlotte. I am the District 5 City Council representative. Honored to represent the east side of town, and I'm a big Panthers fan. So I'm looking forward to the draft tonight.
Everything can't be fine. I understand. It's okay. You know, it's okay, man. I understand there's always flies in the soup. You know what I'm saying? There's always flies in the soup. You might not see
all
it.
undefeated this time of year.
Yeah, there's always flies in the soup. You might not see it, but there's a fly in the soup.
So yeah, that's me. That's me. I know we were talking, John, for maybe a couple of weeks now about me coming on the show. So it's just really great to be here.
Yeah,
and I really appreciate the invite.
Absolutely. I'm glad you're able to come. A lot of what we try to do here is no more educate people out on the voting process and things like that, and showing people the importance of it. And sometimes, you know, there are people who with more education about it, and they can say things in a way that we are not trained to say, kind of help people understand how important it is for you to do things like that, regardless of what community you live in. You know, there's so much going on. And so once I reached out and you said you have time, and I was like, man, it's an honor to have you here. And I definitely want you to take time to speak about anything of importance that you want to share as far as what you do, your career, anything that you want to share or talk about. It's definitely about the guests here. It's always about our guests here. We are just here, right? It is always about our guests, and we share conversation back and forth. We definitely want you to say, talk about anything that is on your mind. Anything you want to share is absolutely free here.
That's how.
But I got two questions. I got two questions for you.
Yeah.
My first question is, okay, how many people are actually in your district? How many people are in your district? And the second question is, what percentage of the people in your district voted, not just for you, just voted the last term?
Good questions. Good questions. So, thank you for asking those questions, by the way, because I'm just here too. So, so I'm open to any conversation. There's a lot going on.
Yes,
a lot going on right now, and so just point me in the right direction. So it's hard to say exactly how many people are in the district. I think so the numbers that we have calculated most recently are approximately 85,000. So it's the districts as a whole, we range from between around 80,000 to maybe 120,000. But it won't be until we get census data this year that we're going to know for sure. That's one of the main topics of conversation right now is that census data and how its delay will likely postpone our elections this year. We'll maybe talk about that.
That's a hard conversation because of the reason. See, everybody want to agree on the reason it's delayed. See, everybody want to agree on the people that were put in charge and the reason it's delayed, because nobody will actually take credit or credence for what happened. But the other question is, I'm waiting for you to answer is, what percentage of the registered voters in your district actually voted in the last election?
So there is a big discrepancy between odd year elections and even year elections. You know, the even numbered years The latest one being last year, where we elect federal offices and county offices, they always have higher voter turnout. You have bigger names running for office. You have so there's more of a draw at the top of the ticket, and so you might have I don't know, so I don't know the exact figure, but I think it's probably well over 50% of registered voters. So of course, there's a difference between registered voters and overall population. Well, when I mentioned around 85,000 plus in my district, that's overall population. That's not the number of registered voters, but there's always higher voter turnout in even number years, particularly when it's a presidential election year. That number just falls off a cliff when it comes to odd numbered years. And so we might have had record voter turnout my last election, which was in 2019, and that I think that brushed up against maybe 17% voter turnout.
Wow.
So when it comes
okay,
to
you say
citywide,
wait.
Yeah.
You say
Yeah.
no, wait.
Yeah.
Why are you trying to skip over? Okay, say it one more time.
Yeah, so I'm being a little I'm rounding up on this.
Wow.
By the way.
Wow.
But,
Okay, now what's the number? One more time.
So in citywide elections, which are the odd numbered years, our last one, of course, being 2019, I think we came close to hitting about 17% registered voter turnout. It's abysmal. It is absolutely abysmal.
Okay, so Jock, so that nullifies any conversation we've had so far, don't it?
Yeah. Wow.
So okay, so my next question to you is, what do you think?
That's top end, by the way. I mean, that's a good year.
Okay, now, but listen, I'm saying, what do you think we need to do as a whole, as a community, to get more people interested in participating in every election? I'm saying not just the odd years, or even years, in every election, regardless of who's on the ballot. How do we get that done?
That's a good question. The thing is that when it comes to those odd numbered years, the races just aren't viewed or seen as glamorous, right? And people, there just isn't. So one thing, there isn't as much money. There isn't as much exposure, I think, given to those races. So many people just aren't aware that the races are occurring at all. So there could be something to be said for education. I mean, we say that all the time, though. I mean, I hate to say something as cliche as that, but I think educating people that there is an election going on. I'll tell you this: it's not uncommon for early vote sites to be at libraries. And I always try to. So for me, it's a point of emphasis to meet the voters. And there's no better place to meet voters than when they're coming to the polls. And there are some polling locations that are restricted. So the Board of Elections won't allow us to speak with voters at those locations. But typically speaking, the early vote locations are all open. And it's interesting because many of them are libraries, and it's not uncommon for people just to be showing up to go to the library, right? So I mean, of that 17% of people, many of those people are just showing up to use the resources at the library, and then they find out that there's an election, right? So from the standpoint of people that actually are in the know, and it's not for lack of candidates trying. Let me be clear about that. We as candidates, I attend as many forums as I can. I speak with as many community organizations, fill out endless number of surveys. I go and I knock doors to meet people where they live, to have those conversations, and still, you find that many people just aren't showing up to the polls in those odd numbered years. And for those people that are showing up, many of them don't even know that there's an election. They just happen to be at the right place at the right time. So
what can we? Okay, other question is, what can we do from here to help you there? Doing in reaching not just the people you're trying to reach, but in your district, and finding people in your district to, I guess, to join you in helping your campaign, because we need local. See, our whole goal is to say, okay, so we have you here, and our goal is not just to talk to you about what we want to talk about. Our goal is, how can we help you? There's ports everywhere. We know some other ports, other places. So wherever you are, we're going to try and find some people to find you, to help you expand your reach and expand the knowledge of what you're doing and when your elections are.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that, AJ. I do want to just say up front that it shouldn't be about just me, right? I mean, this is a collective effort, and frankly, there are 11 council members, and in relation, so relatively speaking, in relation to other governmental bodies, we're pretty small. You know, I mean, the General Assembly much larger. Granted, the county commission is comprised of 9 representatives. But whatever the case, there is a lot of opportunity, I think, for us to get work done, to really impact in a positive way, impact the lives of every resident of the city of Charlotte. And I can't do it alone. I mean, it really is something where, for us, with 11 council members, you need to have at least 6 that are on the same page. We need to have that simple majority. So I just want to say that up front, make that clear that that's not just one person. It needs to be a collective effort whereby you have multiple representatives that are standing for you and the people, doing the work. I think from the standpoint of any individual candidate who's running, providing the opportunities, the platforms to have their message heard. I mean, it's really, it's difficult, even with, so this is why money, I think this is why money is so pervasive in politics, and it's not a good thing, by the way, but it's unfortunately seen as a necessary evil, because candidates just without the money have such a difficult, if not impossible, time communicating their message to the general public, letting people know who they are. Yeah. And if there were more platforms available, maybe public financing of campaigns, for example, and then also more platforms on kind of a wide broadcast level available to all candidates, so you can have someone who is relatively unknown get equal opportunity and equal time. I think that would really go a long ways towards ensuring that the voters know there's an election. 1, 2, they know who the candidates are, and make the best decision possible for who they believe is going to represent their interest, rather than kind of seeing a familiar name, or just doing the any meeny miny mo, or just skipping it. I mean, many people, they vote, but then so you'll notice this too, by the way. So you'll notice, if you look at old elections, you look at numbers, the numbers don't align, right? And so there'll be people, particularly at the top of the ticket, where if you add the numbers up, the numbers of voters voting for that particular race is higher than other races. And so it's not all that uncommon to have people show up to the polls, vote for someone they might know, and then everyone else is blank. I think that's particularly true when it comes to judicial races. Our judges, they serve in a very instrumental capacity, and many people, so they're not high profile. So folks, they don't know the names, and it's such an important position, particularly from the standpoint of social justice. Which is, we've had these conversations, Ja, about how important it is that we have the right judges on the bench, and so ensuring that voters who it's not uncommon, they'll just skip those races, and ensuring that they know who those candidates are and what each of those people stand for is so important. And we can look at the General Assembly has engaged in maneuvering to influence and manipulate our judicial elections, and so I mean, I think right now we are looking at the potential of district races that can be gerrymandered, by the way. And then secondly, there's also the possibility of the elimination of party designations besides
Yeah.
the names.
We've seen that here in Las Vegas. But
Yeah, which makes
the other question is there a major issue forcing, I guess, people can focus on at this particular juncture before the election? So we can talk about this issue, especially, racial injustice or whatever. How do we address this issue and say these are the people we know are for this particular item? And see, that's the way we would actually, I guess, create a mandate for those people to sit down and participate, because we need to know who's for this and who's for that and what the issue is. And we can just talk about the issue and bring people in on that issue. And then that will alleviate anybody else not willing to come and talk or not willing to talk about that issue in where you are.
Yeah. So like a report card. There are organizations that compile their own report cards. I think it has, so conventionally speaking, it's really dependent upon who was in. So the leaders of that organization at that individual time, because I think that there have been times where organizations have stepped back from that type of involvement, and then there are other times where the leadership has decided to take a more active role. I think from the standpoint of the networks that exist with our community organizations, being more active, creating those types of report cards and then disseminating them into those networks that I think could be highly effective. I think that it's important. So there's so many. I think many people are consumed by their everyday lives, right? And rightfully so. I mean, many people are just trying to make ends meet, particularly nowadays with COVID and the pandemic. I think the president touched on that last night in his speech, how difficult it is day to day for the average American, and it's really tough to balance, your work life and your family life, and still stay up to date on what's happening with local government. It's hard enough to know what's going on up in Washington. So I feel like it's easy to say, try to be more active, but from the standpoint of organizations that people know share their values, having those organizations be more active in their own right and create that type of a report card, I think, and then disseminate it, get it out there before the elections is so important.
Well, Stacey Abrams started a trend. She started a trend. Now you have a lot of people trying to do what she's done. So, and you talking about organizations that gather information. So how do we locate the organizations that's gathering information so we can get all those together so we can disseminate the information in mass fashion? And the other question is, okay, so how do we garner enough? You have all these judges and all these positions unopposed. What can we do as far as saying, okay, we need somebody to run in this position? We can't have these positions unopposed anymore. So what can our job be in getting some of those positions opposed?
It's really, so to address the second question first, and I'll circle back around the first one. It's really hard for me to believe that there aren't qualified people. So I think there is a level of intimidation that's involved with kind of taking that leap of faith and putting yourself out there and running for office. There are tricks or kind of there's tradecraft that's involved too, where the more that you have done that, you learn what's effective, what maybe is less effective. I think that also depends upon where you are. I think that the different approaches vary depending upon the race and location. But that's all. Those things. Having the community support from people who have potentially been there before, so mentors. At the same time, having the support from the community in the fashion of either so some sort of, kind of, would it be kind of like labor equity? So kind of volunteers, contributions to campaigns for things like mailers, literature to to hand out at events or fundraisers. Those sorts of things, I think, really could go a long ways in identifying those people and building their confidence. I feel like there's so many people, so many well-qualified, amazing people that might not know what they're capable of unless given the opportunity.
Yeah.
So anyhow, and we need them. We need good people in office, and people like me. I pride myself on working hard for my constituents for making a difference. But to be clear, it's public service, and there comes a time where I need to start grooming the next generation, and so that's that's kind of this gray hair. I don't know if you can see it. It's not going away, So that's kind of where I'm at, and I think having as much community support as possible is important in that endeavor. I forgot the first question, AJ.
I'm saying you kind of answered it, but the thing is, it's all intertwined.
Yeah.
So because see, our goal when we first started talking, our goal was okay. So our goal is to get 100% participation in minority votes, registered voters voted. That's our goal. Flatten, easy.
In a nutshell, yeah.
But you say 17% voted in odd years. 61% voted when Barack Obama was elected. Approximately 72% voted this past election, and everything was close. So we're not even getting close to the 80s or the 90s. So our goal is to talk to people and say, how do we increase not just the awareness or just the participation? How do we increase the interest?
Yeah.
And people understanding that these particular things matter.
Yes. It's. I think that there's a level of gosh, I don't know if like fame is the right word. Like there's a level of like celebrity that's associated
of notoriety, a level of notoriety.
Yeah, notoriety, right? That's associated with these even year elections where we're talking about.
Let me check on this dog. I'm checking this dog. I'll be right back. You make a line.
Go ahead.
When we talk about someone running for president, when we talk about even like someone running for senator, people that are our congressional representatives, Congresswoman Adams, for example, she comes into a room, people stop, right? They take note when Congresswoman Adams is in the room, and it's because there's a measure of prestige associated with that. Not to say that's that should be kind of the controlling factor. I don't think so. But at the same time, how do you kind of capture that and then kind of bottle that for local and county-wide races? Because I get the impression it's like that's what's kind of garnering the interest, and maybe it's just it's because it is more high profile. There's more money in those races, but I'll tell you this, man. On a local level, the decisions that we make are more impactful for the people.
That's my point.
They appropriate the money. So up at the top, they appropriate the money that they then bring down to where we are, but then we're the ones making decisions on where that money goes.
Yeah.
And those decisions, I think I'm not taking anything away from the president, from Congresswoman Adams. I'm not trying to elevate myself in saying this, but I really think that people say politics is local. That's why. It's because those decisions on a local level really do kind of separate the winners and losers, so to speak, and make a bigger difference. I think an impact in the lives of those we want to help.
Here's my thing, and that's been always my issue, right? The celebrity part, because then you get the Ronald Reagans and the Reaganomics, right? And some of our viewers may not be old enough to remember that. but them Reaganomics weren't easy to deal with. And then you get the reason 45 is in there. It's not so much, it's because of the celebrity. A lot. I've been in conversations where people didn't know Ronald Reagan was an actor. I didn't know he was an actor. I just thought he was the president. The reason he was able to get in because he had that celebrity, and people's like, oh wow, boom, he was a great actor. Why not put him in the president's seat? You know what I'm saying? I think that is a major issue with politics, that your celebrity can boost your place, and then we have celebrities who aren't prepared for these offices that they're holding, and that's been a major issue.
I'll say this, man. So, I mean, I heard Matthew McConaughey is talking about running in Texas.
Really?
Don't know how I feel about that, but I also heard a rumor that The Rock might be thinking about running.
Yes, I heard that one too.
I'm a big Rock fan, so so I don't know, man. I like The Rock.
I do.
I wonder what The Rock be in the kitchen at the White House. So, like, can you smell what The Rock is cooking?
I do think that The Rock would probably run Republican, but that doesn't mean he won't be good in office. I don't think the cabinet decides the character of the person, and that's something I had to learn in politics. The party doesn't decide the character, and I think if he runs, I think from what I've known about him, right? Like, I don't personally know him, I don't get to call him on the phone, but I think in that people like that who have been in celebrity, that have been across their celebrity career, there have been something special. They can be special in politics. I do agree with that. So hopefully, you know.
Well, how you feel about Kevin Hart being vice president?
Yeah. Central Intelligence.
Well, so if we're gonna be honest, I don't think he'll get the votes because he had a bad, almost career-ending comment with the gay and lesbian community, and so I don't know if he'll get the numbers to do it. He had a really bad run with that, and I don't know that he will get the run to go. That's my
Matt, wait, I have one question for you. That's for you. Basically, okay, so in your campaign, the amount of money you get, how is that money, I guess, assessed as far as you reaching the people you need to reach in your district? Do you have to send information to all 85,000, or do you have to send the same information out to everybody? Or can you pick and choose what area it goes to?
I think what I do, because resources are always limited, and I'm not known as a big fundraiser, so I have to maximize every dollar. I'm able to discern who has voted in elections before, and it's always I've made reaching as many people as possible a priority, of course, but then also doing my best to reach out to those folks who have a track record for voting, and at least make that have that touch. I think it's so when you have to prioritize, those are the decisions you have to make. I would much prefer a scenario where everyone was voting, and then the priority certainly becomes much broader, more challenging even, but at the same time, a situation where it's like, I'm not having to kind of pick and choose, where I can just, reach as many people as quickly and as upfront as possible. But that's kind of how it goes. Yeah, you have to be very strategic in that regard, and so. So I mean, that's it. And try. I think for me, my fundraising is very people oriented, and it's not. I feel like oftentimes, so it's trendy. It's trendy to talk about low fundraising numbers. So low numbers per individual. To talk about soliciting fundraising from ordinary people rather than special interest or corporate interest, and that's the way, frankly, I think it should be. I don't buy this whole corporate entities as people nonsense, but having said that, that's that's not always the case, even when candidates say that, you know, they are operating a grassroots campaign. For me, that is the case. That's something where I do all I can to kind of avoid the special interest contributions, and in turn uh, solicit those contributions, which oftentimes are smaller denominations, from ordinary people, the people that I represent. I don't want there to ever be the perception. So certainly not the existence, but even the perception of there being any sort of impropriety between me, the decisions I make, right? And so that's my approach. But I do feel like, you know, I have less funds in my campaign because of it, and I have to be a little bit more discerning and strategic and maximize those dollars.
So do you have buttons and bumper stickers or anything with your name on it? Like if people donate, you say, okay, you know, here's a button or here's a bumper sticker coming. And where are your campaign offices? Can we send people, say, okay, anybody in Charlotte, if they're willing to participate, send people to help you with your campaign at your campaign office? Do you have a campaign office? Is there a location that we can say, hey, you know, on this day, you need to go to this and this is our plan? See, I guess my idea is that we can formulate enough people in different areas in different states to say, okay, today what we're doing in Charlotte is this. What we're doing in Dallas is this. What we're doing in Fort Worth is this. And see, I think we can have a coordinated campaign to make our reach longer or wider because of our actual participation.
I really appreciate that, AJ. You're so high on me, man. I don't know if I'm all that fancy yet, but I really appreciate it. I appreciate the comments, man. So yeah, I do I do signs, I do literature, I do T-shirts. I've hung back a little bit on the buttons and the bumper stickers, but it doesn't mean that that's not a possibility, right? Who knows what the future holds? But yeah, I love the idea of the greater networks. As I was mentioning before, I think comprehensive measures and kind of strategic approaches are probably best, where you're looking at blocks of candidates, maybe that if elected can really get into, start to serve and make a difference, and more of an immediate impact, and maybe that's just so I'm a staunch Democrat, by the way, so maybe that's just kind of the like my background with the party. Maybe that's like, you know, that's it kind of coming out right there, because that's what we do within the party is I identify good candidates and put together kind of a ticket. But
that's the end goal.
Yeah, it's a team effort. It's a team effort, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
No, but I'm saying, but that's the end goal. But see, when you're starting out, you have to show, you know, if you haven't created a track record of this is what we do.
Yeah.
You have to show that this is what we do. And this is what we've done with this particular, with Charlotte. Okay, so now we find somebody else somewhere. We find some other people in Charlotte. We find some other people. But see, our goal is that we have to start somewhere, build, you know, you can only build a house one brick at a time. And you better check the foundation. See, right now, we're checking our foundation.
Yeah,
and we're trying to build a house.
Right. I think it starts small. It's about, I can tell you this. So I was the chair of the Democratic Party here in Mecklenburg County, and we've always been very successful, at least as long as I can recall. I mean, I think maybe in the 80s, you know, it was a little bit more even when it came to representation between Democrats and Republicans. But more recently, over the past, you know, 10, 15 years, we as Democrats have done very well within the city. And then even I think you can make the case within the county. But it's those areas outside of the city where you have, oddly enough, where you kind of you have a reversal so a role reversal where there are more measurably more Republicans than Democrats representing the population, and that's even the case in a town like Pineville, which is predominantly Democrat. Now they have nonpartisan races, but you know who's who, right?
Mhm.
And so it was always a goal of mine to look at those towns and to figure out ways to start to effectuate change there, and in the hopes of kind of greater, larger scale change coming out of the region, rather than just say the city of Charlotte. And for us, when it comes to, I can tell you this firsthand, when it comes to everything we do within the city, we always kind of look over our shoulder and asking ourselves if the General Assembly is there, right? I mean, we're always kind of on pins and needles. This is a Dillon Rule state, so the General Assembly in Raleigh always reserves the right to overrule us, and it's a lot harder when you are working in a regional capacity rather than more of in an individual capacity. And I mean, we're experiencing that right now with our regional transit plan. It's a multi-billion-dollar plan that we're proposing, and we can't afford it by ourselves. And to be able to get the types of support that we want out of Raleigh, thankfully, we have a new administration in Washington. So that's extremely helpful. But the amount of support we want out of Raleigh, we have to take a regional approach. And it will be so much easier if we had like-minded individuals in the positions in those towns. And it just doesn't make any sense. It's not logical to me to have a town like Pineville that literally goes Democrat 2-1, have a majority Republican council. And so maybe that's some low-hanging fruit. I'll just put that out there. But yeah, I think it's about moving out of our comfort zone, start looking at areas where maybe the areas that have traditionally been so. I don't mean any disrespect. I'm a Democrat. I'm proud of it. And so looking at those areas that are more red and and moving into them and educating voters on who we are and what we stand for, and why it makes sense for them.
Okay, and you said something in that I need you to explain to listeners exactly what is gerrymandering.
So
Yes.
yeah, it's where. So let me kind of start from scratch here on this. Uh, our governmental bodies, whether that be city council, the state legislature, or the federal government, every 10 years when we get census data, we redraw our districts. We look at the overall number of people in the area that governmental body represents, and then we try to draw districts that have an even number of people. But the question is, where do the lines land, right? And so you could have an even number of people, but you could pack all of the same type of people into one area, and then leave other areas kind of more exposed even to other types of people, other demographics, or I think you could more appropriately say the other party designations. So anyhow, gerrymandering is where you pack a certain type of people into the newly drawn district to benefit one of the political parties over the other, and you'll see these lines drawn for districts that have occurred in the past that are just really kind of crazy, where I mean they're all over the place. And don't really have any consistency. They're not, you can tell where there's a little sliver that goes up to just incorporate a certain area to either accentuate the vote for the overall district or take votes away from a neighboring district. And in so doing, favor the political party that drew the districts in the first place. And so we've had that more recently happen with our district court judges. The district court judges, for as long as I can remember, were county-wide representatives. They preside. So regardless of where they live within the county, they preside over the entire county. It's not like they have people, so representatives, parties come in front of them from like a particular area. These are people that are coming in front of them from the entirety of the county, and they don't pick and choose, right? So it makes a whole heck of a lot of sense that they would be elected by the county as a whole, and that's always been the case. But in so doing, I mean, we know in Mecklenburg County that we have many more Democrats. We are the most diverse county in likely the Carolinas. I mean, I think you can make the case that even within Tennessee and Virginia, West Virginia, right? I mean, I think we could throw them in too. So anyway, we are the most diverse, and we have a much larger number of Democrats than Republicans, and so consistently we had a district court bench that was comprised of Democrats. The Republicans didn't like that, and so what they did about 2 years ago, and maybe 3 years ago, but what they did was they decided to then draw districts within the county and to separate the county, so to kind of split it up. And what they did was they created 2 districts where the people within those districts, now granted, all the districts were made up of like an equal number of people, but there were 2 districts in particular where, or maybe 3, I think it might have been 3 districts in particular where the numbers of people were predominantly Republican. And so what happened was, and that's gerrymandering. So what happened was in the subsequent election, you ended up, instead of having all Democrats be judicial, district court judges, now you had 3 Republicans take Democrat seats. And they're still pushing to do that. I mean, that's been challenged in the courts. And so right now, we have reverted back to the county-wide designation. But I know for a fact up in Raleigh, they still want to reassert those districts before next year. We'll see what happens. But maybe that's a good example of gerrymandering.
Wow.
Okay, and my other question was, are there any particular, you said Raleigh, but it was are there any places, because President Obama, they actually went through all the states and they were trying to get the Supreme Court to order them to have an individual entity to come and redraw the districts, because Texas is one of those states. So are there districts like that in the Carolinas that they have a demand to redraw those districts from the courts? And are they trying to postpone it to after the election?
So I think we've had a very robust conversation about an independent commission for a number of years now, and that's what makes sense. I can't recall. I do remember that that there was a challenge based upon the potential of racial discrimination in gerrymandering a few years back, and that was upheld. It was shown that in our area, I'm talking about northern Mecklenburg County up into like the Greensboro area, that racial discrimination in the drawing of districts had occurred. So what happened was the court overturned those districts, and we had redrawn districts. And if I remember correctly, I could be wrong on this, but if I remember correctly, there was an independent commission that was consulted in that regard. So for that purpose, I don't know if that's the case now. It's my understanding that at least in as much as the redrawing of districts after the census data is received this year into next year is concerned, that's not going to happen. And keep in mind, so
we lost you.
you guys still there?
Yeah.
I cut out for a second. I'm sorry about that. I'm on my phone. I got a call that just came in. I had to push, the button to call them back later. But I'm not washing our hands of this, right, as Democrats, because we did.
Oh, Matt, we lost you again.
Faded, Matt. I think you're getting another call.
Matt, somebody calling for some money.
Yeah, you're back now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's my creditors. yeah. So anyhow, I think, keep in mind. So I'll keep it short. Keep in mind that oftentimes the parties drawing these districts, like the entities drawing these districts, favor one party over the other, and they're not willing to give up control, right? And so that's exactly what they would be doing if they were to agree to an independent commission, and that's part of the challenge, right? Is having kind of people put their own personal ambitions aside and proceed with what's morally and ethically right.
But part B of the question was no. Part B was, I know in Texas they had additional suits to hold up the redrawing of the districts till after the election. So how is that done basically?
I missed that question, AJ. Sorry, do you mind?
I know in Texas they had additional suits to hold up redrawing the districts until after the election.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that's we kind of wow. I think when it comes to power, but there is nothing that some people won't stop at to kind of maintain control and hold on to that power. But that sounds like some real creative maneuvering to do just that. I wouldn't put that past our General Assembly if they believed that that they would win elections by doing that. I think we saw that that attempt by Trump in Georgia, right? I mean, it's shameful, but yeah, I think that's what, for the sake of maintaining control and power, that's what some people, the depths that some people are willing to sink to. So yeah.
I appreciate you dancing with me, Matt. I appreciate you dancing with me, but we gotta let our other people introduce themselves. I appreciate you dancing with me, man. You're awesome, man. I appreciate you coming hanging out with us, man. Thank you so much.
I can't wait to come back. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I got a hard stop. I gotta watch this draft.
Oh yeah, the draft. Right.
I'm sorry you're a Carolina fan. I'm sorry you're a Carolina fan. It's all right.
What a day. We go from politics to football.
It's been fun, y'all. I'm going to run.
Thank you so much, Matt. Appreciate you so much for coming, man.
Seamless. It's a seamless transition.
Yeah.
I can't wait the next time, y'all. Thanks
blessings, man. Blessings. And you're going to hear from us, man, because we definitely have to participate in your upcoming campaign. So we got to help out. We're going to find a way to help you out.
Indeed.
I appreciate that. And there's so much more to talk about. So once again, I can't wait to come back. Have a great night, everyone. It's been a lot of fun.
Listen, Matt, did he leave?
Peace, y'all.
Matt, he's good. I was going to say, don't let them put us out of business.
Here.
Oh, don't let them put us out of business now.
I won't.
Okay.
I think we lost Matt again. They must be calling him about the draft.
Yeah. The great Diane and Lee. What's up? Thank you for coming back, man. Appreciate y'all. Blessings. So how y'all doing?
We're good. We had to come back. It's just been a little crazy. Sometimes when we're busy like that, that means business is good. So that's a blessing.
Yeah.
And then sometimes it just means chaos in the family. How about that? How about that? Yeah.
We can relate. We can relate to both.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I see you had Matt on. Did you get what you needed?
Well, we had our goal is, it was sad. The information that he gave us, some of it was sad because we had expected it to be better, because we asked him in the district he was in, what's the number of people that are there? Then how many registered voters are there? And what percentage of those registered voters actually voted in the last term? And he said the high percent would be 17%.
That's right.
Yes, that was the last election we were.
Yeah, we work his campaign. We are his ground game.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna work on that from wherever we're at, because 17%, that is totally illogical to me. Because I'm saying in Dallas, I would go to all the precincts and I would walk around and I talk to people outside the same way I did in Nevada this past year. I interviewed people coming out voting. It didn't matter who they were. I didn't ask them who they voted for. I asked them why was it important that they vote. And it's so important that we understand that our friends need our, I guess, information, needs our advice to say, hey, this is what we need to do now. You're my next door neighbor. We're only gonna fix this community if we go out and do this. So we have to start participating and asking people that don't want to vote. You don't have to vote for you. Go vote for me.
Yeah.
I need your help.
Well, what's particularly significant about 17% where he is he lives in East Charlotte, North Carolina, which is predominantly Black and Hispanic. It's actually more than just Black and Hispanics, but you also have, Asians, Southeast Asians, Cambodian, Hmong people. So it's a diverse community, but the largest percentage, I believe, is African Americans.
It is.
Who don't vote. So what gets Matt over is, because the last time he ran against, or Vinroy Reed ran against him. And the reason that Vinroy didn't win is because Black people don't come out and vote. But all of the Black people, well, I'll say a portion of them come out. Most of them love Matt because he's there and been there for a long time. But they come out for the presidential election, and we've been, Diane and I have a Acacia Consulting. We do political consulting, and we try to educate people on get our people well versed in politics. It's more than, when Tip O'Neill said that all politics is local, that was so very true, because people that are on your city council and your town councils, they control what happens in your neighborhood and your life. You don't come out to vote for that oftentimes. So
yeah, they control that stop sign and that red light and the pothole.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he's Matt is also running in a very, as Lee was alluding to, a very diverse district. And the people who are active, the most active, are the Asians, the Indian people from India, but and there's a lot of Black people as well. So his continued winning, I'd love to say that it's because we're on his game, but I know that it's because he speaks to the issues of the community. We have consulted with him about keeping people involved, doing a newsletter. Even if it's quarterly. There are a lot of things that he also said that the General Assembly will push, the community is for it, but then it goes to the GA and they're going to help you run it, or they're going to help you pay for it, and then they strike it down. Some candidates or some people who are in office don't talk about those things. They talk about the good things and that's it. But what we have suggested is talk about those things and say that this is what you wanted. This is what I proposed. This was what was agreed upon in the city council, and this is what the General Assembly did. Therefore, you need to talk to your state senators and your state legislatures. Not only does that take the heat from him, but it shows that he is doing what they have asked him to do, where he is. And people, especially Black people, really like you to speak to them and be straight up. That's our word, to be straight up. What it is we like authenticity.
Yeah.
So that's why he's, every time we're on his campaign, it's not that it's easy, it's just that the people are easy when they say, oh, Matt, okay, because he did this. They can actually speak to some of the things he's done.
He has a track record.
Right.
He has a track record of follow through.
Exactly.
See, Coach John and I, we were asking people, okay, what can we do to help? What can we do? How can we do this? How do we, because our whole argument is that everything is local. So if we can get you to start participating locally, so how do we send people to you? Where's your campaign headquarters? How can we get somebody there to help you? We got poets everywhere. See, what we're trying to do is we're trying to energize this poetry community and say, look, you can't just be out here spitting truth and not doing truth. You know, because there's organizations that's been organized and people have been paying dues for years. And the organization is still here, but ain't nobody organized. So we just keep organizing organizations, but not organizing people.
My father would say that's the symbol without the substance.
That's walking with no shoes. Huh?
Exactly. So
the sad thing about that, not only are these organizations functioning in our communities, but they are actually politicizing the elections. So if you're not with them, if I mean, and let's face it, let's look at the Black Caucus. They have a placard, and they say whoever's on this placard, that's who you.
Caucus.
Oh, it's the Black political. Okay, okay. So the Black Political Caucus has a placard. Makes it very easy to dumb us down and tell us we are your conscience. We have thought this out for you. These are the best people for you to vote for. If that were true, it would be a wonderful thing and we'd be in a better place. But it's not. It's politicized. These people pay to be on that placard.
It's pay to play. If you got 2,000,
now we're gonna be the PTO. We're gonna be the PTO. Port's taking over. We're gonna be the PTO. Port's taking over. We're not playing your game no more. We're not. You know, if you ain't got a poem about it, if you ain't out there marching, we can't help you. Let's fight. Let's do something. Let's change some things. Yeah.
I agree with that. You have to know the game. You don't have to play the game, but you got to know the game.
Have to know it,
The rules to the game are important. So we know about that, but we circumvent that by speaking to people's interests. When you go to the door, if you're canvassing or whatever, you're not talking about something that doesn't happen in their community. And so, and then when Matt comes through, like you said, he has a track record. He has beaten 1, 2, 3 Black candidates
in a predominantly
Black community. It's not because of anything except he delivers.
You know, one of the things, I know he didn't toot his horn, but Matt brought Major League Soccer to the Eastern Mall area.
Oh, he did that. Wow.
Yes,
he did that.
That was Matt.
He did, so their facilities they're going to use the Eastern Mall area to develop the practice and facilities for the Major League Soccer teams that come here. So that's going to bring jobs. It's going to bring a lot of Mexican and South American food too. But I mean, that's going to explode that neighborhood, and people are loving that because it's going to make the cost of the property values go up in that area.
It's going to do that, but one of the things we asked of him is, that's beautiful, but usually when stuff like that happens, we have to exit because we can't afford it, and we can't afford to live there. We can go work there, but we can't afford. So we wanted to make sure that no one was displaced because of this. This has to be a community endeavor. So that's, and also Matt, years ago we worked with him with the policing and the how do we get just regular hood folks with clear records into local political office, just regular common sense folks. That's what we need. That's what we need. It was
that's our goal.
It was common folk that went with Matt to all the different churches and all the places that I think at that time, the mayor, what was her name? The mayor who was mayor of Charlotte, Matt said, you can't, no, she's not white.
Oh, Jennifer
Roberts. Okay. So you can't indict and push through the killing of a Black man, or push through some sort of crime without some sort of oversight. We don't have we don't have an organization, or there's no committee in the mayor's office that can sit down and look it over and look at the tactics and look what happened and make sure that justice is prevails. Matt is the one that mimicked New York's organization that does just that.
Wow.
You know? I mean, that's the Civilian Review Board in New York. Strong board. But now we have that here in Charlotte because Matt continued for a whole year. Sometimes it was like a rave. He would say, meeting at such and such church in 2 hours, and we live out here in Monroe. We'd have to hurry up, but you sit there with a black armband, or you just wear all black, or whatever it was, and that's how that got started. He does toot his own horn, and that's good in a way.
Part of my, I'd like to answer that. I hope I'm not talking too much, but I'd like to answer that lady's question.
That was Casey Hill.
And the way that we do that, and I have to toot my own horn, it's part of my Black Love. It's one of the platforms of my Black Love movement. You know, it's political awareness, and we have to inform our people and make them more sophisticated politically. Let them know what's going on. We have, you know, we have smart people. You know, even if they're hood or whatever, they are smart and they know the difference between good and bad, and what's good for the community and what's not. And so if we inform them about various candidates, what they're doing, what they have done, what their records are, then they have, when they go to the ballot box, no matter what the political caucus has on its slate, they know whether that person is good for my community or not without them. You know, because that's getting the money out of the politics by getting information into the minds of the people.
Okay, Lee, I have a question. Okay, so what if we said, okay, what is the criteria for somebody to get on the ballot? You know, like, do they have to have so many signatures? Do they have to have so much money? What do they need? So, because we gave a lot of people that look at 10 times now homework to who the senators are, who the Congress people are, who your city council, who's, you know, attorney general, when is their term up, when are they voting? You know, we gave them all this homework. So now we need to say, okay, if you want to run, this is the criteria you need to meet. But we need to pass that out pretty soon because all these, you know, it's a year away. So how can we get that information from you as far as the criteria for people to run for office in different places?
Right. This is a democracy, so they say. So as long as you're a resident of this country and you are a resident of the district that you're running for, that you'd like to run for, I don't know how much it is in Charlotte to apply. You go down to the Board of Elections and you put your name down and say, I am running for.
Wow.
And so it's very painless. What's painful is once you're on there, then you're opening up yourself to media because they're going to call you and ask you questions. So you would have had that, what I call kitchen cabinet meeting with your most loyal friends, family, and let them and strategize what you're standing for and why you want to be there. If you want to be there, like the last gentleman that ran against Matt, this is a Black neighborhood. We got to have a Black man representing here. And I totally agree. But Black men, white, Black women, Asian, whomever, have not stepped up to the plate and been good. He has shown himself. So you go ahead and you have this cabinet meeting with your people and you strategize why are you, that's the first question I ask any candidate I've ever worked for. Why are you running? Because if it doesn't sync with my company, I'm out.
And you also have to pay a fee. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I wrote that down. I understood that when she said it. It was inferred.
So before you think you're going to run, I would go to the city council meetings and listen in. If that city council is where you want to go, if you want to go to the commissioner, go there. If you want to go to the school board, go there. You don't have to say anything. You just sit there, learn who the actors are there, who does what, and listen to the decisions that they are making. The school board makes some decisions and the city council makes some decisions that totally impact the city. And so with that knowledge, now you're coming to the plate. You could be novice. You could be brand new to this. I don't know politics. You know how many people who are I don't know politics people who are now in our nation's capital?
Especially last term.
Yeah,
last administration. It was like, okay, you're who cousin?
Okay.
Come on now. Yeah, we got a place for you.
You know what was amazing about what you said, Ms. Diane, is that most people, including myself, we for whatever reason, we believe you have to have some sort of degree. You have to be a lawyer. All these different things that we assume you have to have, because nobody said, no, you live here, you want to do it, go down there and do it. Nobody has said that out loud. And it's amazing that it's that simple. And then when you look at the people who have been in these offices, it has to be that simple.
Well, the lawyers, the judges, the Indian chiefs, those people who are running constantly, it's because they have the money to back themselves up.
That's right.
They have a network to back themselves up. But nothing beats, and Shirley Chisholm showed us this in Brooklyn, nothing beats a ground game. If you have a good ground game, Shirley Chisholm didn't have the money, but she went to everybody's house. And by the time she finished, when she went to, if you look on YouTube at some of her discussions and certainly some of her campaign speeches and the things that she says, they all spoke to the people. Nobody else, they were talking pie in the sky and, chicken in every pot and all of that nonsense. She spoke to the issues. Shirley Chisholm is the one that started Head Start. So, because because of what she saw. And so you can't think that anybody's greater than you. You have to think that you're going to utilize the greatness within you. And once you do that, you just keep going, because people are going to jump on your train. Everybody likes a success story. And they're going to jump on your coattails because it sounds like this person knows what they're talking about. Later for that, if you focus on your candidate or your competition, you've lost the situation. You've lost. You got to concentrate on you, because if you should not win, they're going to always be afraid of you. Then you continue to go and you continue to go to those things, and then you actually wind up with a reputation for someone who is interested in their community. But I tell you, I've seen people for the first time, they go up there, people have their back in the community, because let's face it, if you have 35,000 people in your community and half of them vote for you, you're in. And if it's just me, mama, and Betty and them, if that's just the family, also understand that you're kept from the polls with all of this voter suppression and all of the they're not going to do anything different, and all of that malaise turns into 10 people who don't vote here, 10 people don't vote there. Then all of a sudden, the only people, let me tell you something, it is 17% of that community runs that community. Because, okay, that's what's up.
It's like any other organization. You got 10% of the people in the organization that actually do the work.
Well, it's not just the work, they're voting.
Yes.
They're voting.
In this case, it's voting.
And see, and that's our overall goal. Our overall goal is saying, okay, so, because we started our conversation telling people, look, if you don't want to vote, it's okay. We've been friends for 15 years. I have never asked you to do anything. I'm just asking you one day to do one thing. And if you can't do that as a friend, don't vote for you. Go vote for me, because I need you to.
Yeah.
And if you can't do that, we can't be friends. It don't make sense. I'm asking you to do one thing out of 15 years and you think it's a problem, then we got a problem.
Yeah.
Well, what? By not voting, you're still taking an action.
But that's what we're telling them. If you don't vote, you actually voted for the other person.
That's right. That's right.
So, and see, our goal is, how do we increase not just the voting toll of the people around me in Vegas that I talk to, or the people in Charlotte that he talked to, everybody in our listening audience, on everybody around here that can hear us, that hear our conversation and know how important, how passionate we are about this particular issue, because it changes. I'm passionate because my senior year of high school, I'm from Dallas. I went to Wilma Hutchins High School. I was bused out to this all-white school. My senior year, I was over a bunch of organizations, so we decided we was going to sit down and how do we get a new school board? So they gave us this office at this store. We had 8 telephones. We manned the telephones after school for 4 hours. Called everybody in the district, called churches, got buses, got people with station wagons, made sure we should rise. This was almost a year before the election. So on the day of the election, we had so many people voted that we voted an all-black school board in an all-white school district. And that very year, next year, they voted to build a brand new school that was away from the white area. So I saw the impact. I saw the impact of people that weren't even a voting age.
Mm-hmm.
Change the dichotomy of a whole community.
That's right.
So you can't tell me we can't change a nation.
That's
Come on now.
education.
Well, one of the things, one of the biggest hurdles for the African American and Latino communities is to get this mindset that, you know, that voting doesn't matter. If you talk to kids, and I'm calling them kids, but if you talk to a lot of kids or people, young people, 30 and under, they think that voting doesn't matter. And that, you know, my vote doesn't mean anything. It ain't gonna change nothing. If I had $1 for every time I've heard that, I'd be a rich man right now. And so we have to change that mindset somehow, you know, and the only way to do that is to inform people. But how do you do that? You know, I know in Miami what we did when I was working for the Black and Hispanic people congregate around food. So I mean, we got to get people somewhere where they're sitting long enough to understand what's going on and tell them what's up, or tell them what's so about election and why it's important and why they need to support certain things in their communities.
I would say that if you're thinking about running, if you know you can do a better job than who's there, work on a campaign. Now, AJ just said we don't have time for that. But working on a campaign shows you how to do it. Now, they may not even been doing a good job at it, but it shows you the aspects of running a campaign, and it shows you what works and what doesn't work. And then you know your community, and so you know what's going to work and what's not going to work. I remember for one campaign, we went to all what I call the nosy bodies in the neighborhood. And I love nosy bodies. I love them. They make sure your house don't get broken into. They take up your mail so it won't get wet. They may read it, but they take it up. But those types of people in the neighborhood who know everything, make them a block captain. You remember block captains in Brooklyn?
Yes.
And you make them a block captain, and you tell them anything that happens in this neighborhood, I'm concerned with. So if something happens in this neighborhood that you can't get done, you call me. It could be as little as a pothole. It could be a tree root in the middle of the thing, keeping the children from being able to ride their bikes. But ultimately, they see that you're invested in them. You know, black people and people of color don't have a whole lot of people that are interested in them. We just come along for the ride. So what we have to prove is that we do matter, and the people in our community matter. And so if you get to a congressperson, I'll go to one of the city council or whatever and say, you know what? This is what's happening in this neighborhood. There's a leak, and it's a smelly thing. And I'm gonna tell you right now, you're gonna lose at least 7,000 votes in that area if you don't get that fixed. Man, let me tell you.
But see, the magic part of that conversation would say, okay, so we're talking to you about losing votes. We're talking about people, about numbers. And see, a lot of times because I always tell people, I say, only when your mega church register about 30% of people in the church, somebody's going to visit you and talk to you about voting.
That's it.
I say, but if you ain't registered in the church, ain't nobody coming to talk to y'all. Don't nobody care about your community if you ain't registered, because they so used to you not participating.
Right.
Yes, exactly.
Or the other side of that is you only see them when it's election time.
When it's election time.
Yeah.
But they still got to have some people that's voting, because they're not coming if you ain't got a good number of people. You know, say you got what percentage are you? Oh, I can't even come and pay tithes in your church. I can't come and make no donation, make no $100 donation when they call for the $100 offering.
You are absolutely right. And when they get there, hold their feet to the fire. I don't care what it is, hold their feet to the fire. Not with promises, but look at their record, read it, and say, when you had an opportunity to talk to the school board and tell them not to do sub A, B, and C, you didn't do it.
You didn't
So
do it.
why didn't you do that for us? See, these people are getting paid, not just by you. They're getting paid writing books and traveling and all of that. Why give them a luxury way of life when you don't have it? And
That's
it's
right.
your vote that gets them there.
And
That's right.
And see, that's why we gave people homework. We said, look, okay, your homework is, okay, who's in your city council? What are they doing? Who's on your school board? What are they doing?
That's
Okay,
right.
who's in your Senate? Who's in your Congress? Who did your Attorney General sign on to that 17 people letter?
That's right.
You know, was your senator one of those 43?
That's right.
You know, because to me it was like the Attorney General say, you don't even participate, so we don't care about you here. We're going to attack these people over there. So if your Attorney General is worried about somebody else somewhere, he ain't worried about you. So how you gonna make him worry about you?
That's
How
right.
you gonna make him pay attention to you and stop worrying about stop having time to focus on somebody else's problem?
Yeah.
Well, you ain't gonna do it at 17%. That's damn sure. I will never forget that number for the rest of my days. That's
Is it-
And I saw a look on your face. I saw a look on your face.
And
I couldn't believe.
the
That was
election,
high.
the election before that, I think it was 7 or 8%.
No, it's 12.
12?
12 before that. Yeah.
I thought it was anyway, but you know, we have to
I
get up.
mean, what's that? 16 people?
That's
God
all.
almighty.
That's the one candidate's family, his whole family. Here
Yeah.
where we live, it truly is everybody in the family, and maybe a couple of teachers that taught the person.
I forget the numbers, but I think that 17% wasn't much over. I think it was about 14,000 people. Not a lot of people at all.
And they are the ones who are deciding who represents you. That's egregious. That's egregious.
You know, another thing that I've learned that most people don't know who or who's on the ballot or what they're voting for. All of those little bonds and all those things.
Mhm.
Most people don't have a clue as to what those things are. And we wonder why we miss so much with not just the arts, but even with school bonds and things like that, because we don't understand the language. I don't like law. Law is the only writing I don't like because it sounds like gibberish. It repeats the same thing over and over until it gets to the last 3 lines.
Yeah.
And so I'm not a big fan of law. However, I had to understand that if you at least watch your news once a day, they're going to tell you something.
Mhm.
You might not like the news, but when they start talking politics, and you probably want to watch it like 2 and 3 in the morning, that's when they talk real stuff. Don't watch it with the 6 o'clock and 7 o'clock news. Wait till the wee hours of the night when you got people on that's talking real politics and really telling you what you're voting for. That is when you want to pay your most attention. I didn't know that till later on in life.
Early in the morning.
Or early in the morning. That first, when they first get up there.
Yeah.
That 5, 6 o'clock.
That's when the truth comes out. It deteriorates after that.
Yeah. When you put that
It fades to black, huh?
Yeah.
Let's welcome Miss Sharnetta. Thank you for coming on.
Good evening. How are you? Thanks for inviting me. Sorry I'm late.
Yes. It's okay. You here? That you were here when you were supposed to be here. That's fine.
I'm still working, so I said let me join.
Yes, but we want you to make sure you keep your money. That's number one. Keep your money. We'll be here next week. Oh man. And so I am really grateful that, and I hope that the people who are watching have listened to there's a lot of information passed today. A lot of things I didn't even know, because I'm still saying I'm thinking it's got to be at least 2 years associate's degree to run for office somewhere or something like that. And to know now that, as always, money will buy you into a seat basically for a fee. You can get your behind in a fee and a residency. I mean, that's, we could all change something overnight.
And a nice hat like yours, a nice hat.
And a nice, see, I can't run for office because I can't tilt my hat to the side. They be like, "I'm getting him out of there. He got to go."
Yeah, when you said that, people in Congress, I mean, some of them don't have degrees. It's everything from doctors and lawyers down to car dealers to hairdressers to you have all types of people in Congress. Some of them even have felony convictions. Not that disqualifies you,
right?
But yes, I mean, you have people literally from that's why they call it the House of Commons in England.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
You had all kinds of people, and that were in the House. And that's important because that the House is where funding bills originate, you know.
Mhm.
That's what they do. So that's very important. So the common man has an opportunity to say how his money is spent, basically.
Right.
Yeah, but the Senate is full of pillows.
Oh man,
Yeah,
it's the House of No.
It's full of pillows because that's where a whole lot of shit go to sleep.
I'm
But-
telling you, the House of No.
But what I'm realizing in my 49 years that I've paid any attention to politics, there was two celebrities that were presidents that ruined a lot of stuff. Reaganomics was horrible, and then this last fool.
Yeah.
And I'm saying, you mean to tell me, and we should have picked it up then, because I don't know what kind of degree this last person paid for, if he even paid for one, because he probably didn't think to do that. But I'm just saying, he's at the top.
Yeah,
He had his own university. He didn't have to have no degree.
that's right. That's right.
I'm saying he had to pay all the students back, but at least he had a university.
He didn't pay them all back.
No, but he gave him something. He gave him something. He gave him that presidential discount that he agreed upon because he had a Attorney General fighting for him. But you know, I guess I'll go here is say, okay, so now that we know, how do we get other people to know? How do we get this message out? And if we say it loud enough, long enough, and enough times, will it echo in somebody's membrane? Will they hear it? Will it matter to them when it's almost time to vote? Because you cannot not know it's time to vote. It's everywhere. There's signs in people's yard. There's billboards when you're driving on the highway. It says something about somebody. They done paid for a poster or something. And they say, oh, it must be election time. So anybody that say they didn't know it was time to vote is a lie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, we have to talk about the issues that affect us and our community. And how do we do that? I mean, in your Masonic lodges, your church groups, you know, you have to have emissaries and wherever you are, your spoken word stuff. You know, that's a good place to talk about politics. Anywhere where there's a collection of people together, you know, you should at some point, you know, talk about, you know, the issues that are pertinent to us. I mean, right now it's obvious what's pertinent to us. You know, Black people like they own safari, and we need police reform.
You know, because you know it's strange to say that because Coach John and I were talking earlier today, and I was telling him how I remember when, you know, the unions in New York where the mob started, right? So that's where all the money was. The union was in charge, and it was a sanitation union. In charge of everything. So when they disbanded that, the police were the ones that disbanded it. So police understood what the mob was about. So it's like they created their own union to mirror the same union that they disbanded.
Yeah, they were always a mob, though.
I know. I'm saying, but when they got rid of the real ones, they were the only ones left.
That's right. So and in answering the question a little further, an example is there was a bread basket here in this county, and I went into the bread basket and asked the lady and the bread basket is really just a place where they hand out food to people who need it. Even some dry goods like mops, and maybe they just moved in someplace, whatever it was that they needed that was donated to them. So it was called a bread basket. But there were 3 offices in there, and we set up in one of the offices. And then we began to ask them, can we put voter registration cards here? Nothing partisan. They said, sure. And then people said, I registered, so who's running? Then they come into our office. You got to be creative. And these are people that really don't have time. You know, they got to go get their food for the baby. They got to go pay their rent, you know, but at least we had their attention for a little while, long enough for them to consider, okay, I'll vote for that person. What's going on in there? So it was a way to do some nonpartisan voter registration of people who are greatly affected, and probably the most affected by the legislation that's coming out of downtown.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just be creative.
Yeah.
And we gave people homework. We said, look, okay, so who's on your city council? Okay, when is the last day to register to vote in your city, in your town? Is the voter's registration card something you can pass to somebody? They fill it out. Is there a self-addressed stamped envelope on there like it is in Texas? You know, so can you get a stack, pass them to people, they can just sign them and put them in the mailbox and they go. Do you need a stamp? So these are the things we were asking people early, so we can see if we can't get enough people around this place to start passing out voter registration cards to those people that's too lazy to go get one themselves. Because a lot of times if you give them something, all you gotta do is sign and drop it in the mailbox, a lot of times people would do it. You say, okay, well, I'm tired of people asking me, let's do it. And see, you got to get people interested in bits and pieces. This is almost like Hansel and Gretel, you know, drop these breadcrumbs, even if a bird ate breadcrumbs. So you're trying to guide somebody somewhere. I'm giving you a little something that you might taste. You say, hey, oh, what bakery did you get this from? Where's this bread? You know, we want you interested, but if we gotta force feed you just a little bit at a time, you know, we got these spoons. Here we go. We're ready.
Well, you know, you can also ask them to give you the names of 3 people that they believe would make a good representative. Now, that tactic, what happens is they may know the same people and the same name keeps coming up. And that's your next city council person. That's your next soil and water person, whatever it is. The community knows who the leaders are. The leaders don't know who they are. That's all. They know.
That's excellent. That's excellent right there.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Everything has a yin and yang, so you work on that.
I'm thinking about one of my city council people. He's a brother. I'm the precinct chair in my precinct, and I can't get the brother to come to a precinct meeting so we can get organized.
Wow.
And I helped him get elected. So,
well,
okay, not changing conversations, but I want to know how y'all. We talked about. We came here on fire about conversations. How are you two doing?
Oh, Lord.
Okay. Well, I take it back. That was too big a sigh to hit the rest of that. That was too big a sigh right there. I'm not prepared for the rest.
We're doing good.
We're doing good. We're hanging in there, and we were so glad to be on. We have wanted to come on. Thursday's a really full day for me. So a lot of times I just, I have a briefing beforehand. I told them I have a hard stop at 7. Y'all got to let me go. And because we wanted to talk about this, and because we knew it was an interest of yours, it was something you had asked us, and we wanted to talk about Andrew Brown. So, nothing was going to keep us away from that, because we have to at least disseminate information to people so they know what's going on. There's a lot of fear in our community, and fear stymies you from action.
Yes.
Well, I'll say that the Almighty has kept. Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. I'm finished.
Has kept us well. We've averted any type of illness whatsoever.
Yes,
I'm completely vaccinated, and thanks be to the Veterans Administration, my wife soon will be as well.
I acquiesced. I really wasn't.
Acquiesced.
I acquiesced. I wasn't feeling it.
Well, I wasn't feeling.
So which vaccines did you get?
I got Pfizer. You got Moderna.
I got Moderna.
Yeah, I just had Moderna last week. And, I had COVID last year, so I got Moderna, man. I was almost down for a week, man.
Oh, okay.
I was almost down for a week. But see, my mother just got out of the hospital with COVID in Dallas. So I want to go home. So I'm gonna get fully vaccinated before I go home, because that's the safest bet.
That's right.
And I really want to know how y'all were doing, because a lot of times we can sit here and talk about any and everything, but I need to know about you first. And I just want you to know that we're not overlooking that you two great people came to hang out with us, but we want to know how you are.
Yeah, we're doing good. We're blessed. I mean, things are going well. Like I say, the Almighty has kept us well too. And it's and we've branched out. See, what Black people need to understand is yes, I hate that the COVID, the pandemic is happening, and we need to do what we do to control things. But what it has done is given a new lease on life for a lot of businesses, for a lot of people. I mean, because we're doing business online, and people can't see to discriminate against us. That I know that sounds crazy,
No, it
but
doesn't. I said the same thing.
but yeah. So when people can see you, but when they see what your online profile looks, oh, this is a very nice company. We can work with.
You can get some stock photos. Now you can get some white stock photos and put up there for the management.
So it's an opportunity, even on all levels, even food. You know, that people talk about how restaurants are going out of business, but what's blossomed right now is they have this thing called the chefpreneur movement, where instead of restaurants and large gatherings, what people are doing now is paying personal chefs to actually come in their homes and fix food to avoid the COVID. And it's a burgeoning business out there right now. A lot of clients, food is a passion of mine, but it's also a lot of work. So so things are changing for the best. So we had a friend in church, Larissa. She's outstanding. She owns the what is it?
Simply Southern.
Simply Southern Baking Company, and she is an outstanding. She went to Johnson & Wales. She's an outstanding bakery chef. She can make it all, and her business has just blown up. When we were in church and everything was like it was in the past, she wasn't doing a lot that well. Because people could see what she looked like. She's an African American woman, and so they weren't patronizing her. But now that she's got an online presence, and her food,
all they see is her wares. That cake look good right there. That cake,
you need to see too.
Yeah.
So it's been good to us. We just have to get the word out to a lot of different black on black business is good. There are a lot of different avenues where you can buy specifically from all black people. From produce to car engines,
Mm-hmm.
It's good for us in another way. It's bad for us that we need in the way that a lot of brothers out here don't wear their mask and they don't take the precautions, and we need to educate them on that. But there are some good things that are coming out of this for us.
Yeah, we're doing good though. To answer your question, my apprehension for taking the vaccine was that Trump had something to do with it, and I didn't want anything to do with anything he had to do with, and so that was the stigma for that. But
that's why Pfizer was the best one, because Pfizer didn't take any money from anybody.
That's right. That's right.
Pfizer say we doing this, we're gonna do it, and they were the first ones out.
Yeah, because they know the long game. Long game is Pfizer's going to be on the mouths of our grandchildren. So they played the long game because they had that kind of money. Mm-hmm. I had a very good friend of mine who's a registered nurse. She works in the surgical unit. We just talked one night, and I said, "Oh no, I'm not taking that. I'm gonna ride through this." She said, "Diane, listen." She said, "I have a pre-existing condition." She said, and the way I looked at it is, every hospital that you see, I know you think it's a place of care and nurturing and saving your life. She said, but it's a business. She said, and I don't believe that the CEOs of all these hospitals would put in my vein, and the doctor who works with me and the other nurses, they wouldn't put anything in our veins in their investment, because that's what I am. They wouldn't put that in our veins if it wasn't okay. She said, so I think I need something more than just PPE between me and these COVID patients. And she made so much sense that everything that I said before didn't make sense. And so I decided, I have to, and I have like you, I want to see my mother. And she's down in she's down in hot state, Florida. But I'm not going to take nothing to my mom. I'm not going to let anybody else do anything like that. So,
but that's how my mom got COVID, in-house nurse.
Wow.
And but I wanted to do this right quick because Mr. Witz keep popping in and out. But I want to know if you had anything you wanted to say because Mr. Witz, come on, pop back in, man. You need to share something with us, man.
I saw him too.
Good afternoon, sir. How you doing?
I apologize. I'm definitely listening and learning a few things. I'm brave enough to say that I have never voted. I had big issues with voting. I don't agree with the process. I don't think it works and all that. So I'm listening to what's being fed today, and I'm learning some things. So that's why I'm in the quiet, because that's how you do when you're learning. You shut your mouth, right? But I'm definitely appreciate y'all coming on the platform and giving us some clarity with a lot of things that we didn't know about, or that I can think for myself.
He said it. He doesn't like. Well, you know what? Let me say this to you. This might help you. In the early 1800s, after Emancipation Proclamation, we were able to vote. We were able to do so many things that we were not able to do as slaves. And what we did, because white people didn't want us around them, we developed our own cities. We developed communities. We had our own schools. They may not have had any equity in them, but our men were really men. I mean, they were doing their job. They were working. And then because we owned districts, because there were so many of us, we actually had congressmen go to Congress in Washington. We had senators. We were doing very well.
14 years of Reconstruction.
That's right. And so what hurt us were the Jim Crow laws, the runaway slave laws, the black codes, all that nonsense. If a black man was walking down the wrong side of the tracks, of the train track, he would get arrested. And then he'd have to wear that black and white striped suit. So I want to speak to what you said, because that's honesty and that's word. The fact that the rules don't apply to us, the good rules, the bad rules apply to us. And so what I would ask you to do is run for office and change the rules. Because when you have a system, and everybody would vote for you, because you're not part of the game. You're not part of the game. You're not like Tim Scott down in South Carolina, who had the.
Hey, watch it now. I woke up to that speech.
No,
that was like a nightmare with eyes open.
He had the nerve to get on TV last night and tell black people ain't no racism in this country. So we know that you're not going for it. Already you got some props and respect. Then we know you care about your people. And that just makes me know that there's authenticity there. You are the type of person that needs to run for office. But more importantly, when you run, we better support you. You understand? You're the type of person. We don't need glam and glitter. We got plenty of that at the beauty supply place. What we need is someone to speak on our behalf that knows it's been where we've been.
And people who are going to do the work.
Then you're going to do the right thing by your people. So I understand what you're saying, my brother, but it is a system. That's all it is a system. And what I found over the years is that when we oblige them in their system and then we become like them, then they change the rules. What they did with those brothers, they killed them. They literally killed congressmen and senators who were up in Washington. They had no respect for us as a people. So I understand what you're saying. I'm not promoting these systems. I would like to see a complete revolution of these systems. But until then, learn the rules and be a part of it. Remember that movie years ago? The Spook Who Sat by the Door? That's what we all are.
That's my favorite book.
That's what we all are. Read that book. But don't disengage. Because if you disengage and everybody you know disengages, then who do we have? Fools in the marketplace.
And right now we're sitting on the inside of the Wizard of Oz, but we know who the wizard is.
Yeah.
Ain't no curtain. ain't no curtain, so we can say, okay, we're gonna vote this wizard out.
What?
Now he know we know. But if we ain't voting, we still letting the wizard pull these controls and stuff, and we see him doing it.
Yeah. You know, and this is why we have the deaths that we have, because people like you are not in charge. Those kinds of things are not going to happen if you're the chief of police, or if you're at least the city council person that's running things. You know, we have a couple of African-American female in Cary and another city here in North Carolina, females who are running police departments, and they are not playing. They are not playing. They're not holding anybody's hand and saying, oh, please love Black folks. They're talking about each resident is one resident. That's it. So don't be too discouraged. And I'm not holding that against you that you didn't vote. What I will hold against you, though, is you have knowledge that can help your people and you're not doing it. That's what I hold against you, because you got it. You've got the word of speech. You have it all. You could do it. If it's nothing but just your local city council or your local commissioner, when you walk in there, stuff's gonna change. I've done it, and stuff just changes just because I'm there. Why? Because they know that I'm not weird, and ain't nobody going home until this is done. No one is going home until that pothole is fixed, or what they did to our children down here. They changed the school board line so that the children on this side of the street are going to one school, and our children right across the street had to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to take a bus to go. Oh, I wasn't having that. I brought my lunch. I was staying. And so those types of things change because someone cared. If they see we don't care about each other, they're not going to care about it.
It changed everything. Yeah. But you know, and that's why it's so important that we have this platform and we bring people in and we say, okay, we want to know this. That's why I was asking Matt. I said, Matt, okay, so what is it you need, or what can we help you with? Of where are you? Do you have a campaign office? Can we send people to you and say, hey, we heard about you on 10 Times Now, Matt. We're here to help out. What can we do? And see, that's the power that we want, is for other people to say, look, I want to be a part of change. I want to be a part of something positive. How do I participate?
And what was that brother's name? Matt Brown, you said? What's his name?
No, Matt Newton.
Matt Newton.
Matt Newton.
I want to thank him for coming through too. I know I'm working as I'm listening, so I don't want him to think that I was not hearing him, but he definitely was putting some good points out there, some healthy food. So I appreciate him being a chef today.
Yeah, it's important because Andrew Brown has to get justice in Elizabeth City, and
Yes.
thank God that they have a city council that's the majority Black, and that they're going to make sure that there's some accountability. I mean, when I looked at the body cam stuff was I think released or gets soon to be released. And, it's just a travesty that, and it doesn't, that a person can be killed, like that, like they're an animal, no matter what they did. I mean, so what, you stole drugs, that's not a death sentence.
No.
To be told the people bringing drugs in, we can sell drugs, those aren't Black people. So their whole fallacy, we have to change that on a number of different levels. And
because we never make it to court. We just make it to the corner.
Exactly.
That's true. Well, that was an execution. Come on.
Yes. That's what I'm saying. We just make it to the corner. We don't make it to court.
That's right. Because when they got into that truck, Lee looked at me and he said, that reminds me of the Middle East. When those people get into the trucks and they're going after, when you go after someone like that, you're not going to maim or bring him home.
Let me clarify that. When I said Middle East, when you look at the pictures back when the Egyptian-Israeli war was going on, and you see all the mujahideen in Afghanistan, and they're packed in the truck with their arms and they're ready to go. That's how those cops rolled in, and it turned out that when they stopped that truck, 4 seconds after the truck stopped, the shooting started. So they didn't go there. It wasn't execution. They weren't going there to arrest nobody over a drug warrant. They went there to kill somebody. You know, if your foot, the first man's foot hit the ground, they started shooting. That's what happened. And you know, we have to stop that. We need to do away with this qualified immunity crap. We need to hold these people responsible.
That's what we're talking about. Police unions, yeah, police unions. We're talking about alleviating their power, getting rid of their money.
Well, I don't know that you can do that, but the police unions shouldn't prevent anybody who murders somebody or shoots somebody in the back from being.
But in court the other day, the police unions was up there saying, "Do not release the body cam for a month until they finish the investigation." So, but I'm saying, but the judge said he was going to rule that day. But the problem is they have enough power to send people up there to have this argument. So I'm not saying that it's cool that they do what they do. I'm saying they have enough power to have this argument, and it'd be a legitimate argument for somebody else to listen to. See, what we're not paying attention to is when you say something, when you say something that's wrong to people, or you say something that's wrong, just like the defense attorney in a Chauvin case say, look, it was the people that was making all the noise, so they couldn't pay attention to George Floyd.
Lord Jesus. So
and I'm saying when he said that, I had to turn it off for a minute because I'm like, he had to practice saying that in the mirror just to keep a straight face to say that in court.
Yeah.
It didn't make any sense.
And that's not over. We need to make sure those 4 cops that were there with him
are charged.
Oh yeah, definitely. You can't do that and you can't be guilty and the other 4 people kneeling, not be a participant. If you got 4 black men in the car, they all going to jail for the robbery.
That's right.
Exactly.
That's right.
That's very true.
Right.
Now, the police union threw whatever they had at the wall, and that's all they do to see what sticks.
Yeah.
And they've been getting it away with it in certain cities. You don't get away with that in every city. In some cities, they look at you like, yeah, okay, that's not going to happen. But there are cities where people don't know one way or the other. You have weak people who are elected to office who don't care. And now we have a scared governor here in North Carolina. And I can say that because I've worked his campaigns, and I'm very upset that he wouldn't do an executive order and say, oh, no, that body cam is going to be shown. It's not going to wait for him. We had to wait for his comment. And I think that's wrong because he knows what power he has. Yeah. And he certainly should have erred on the side of justice because now there are black people, his next campaign that I'm not going to be able to go to because they're going to put that right in my face. I won't.
I want to, but you know, we have an attorney general that's getting ready to review Minnesota, Kentucky, finna review their police records. So now this, even if it's not being accountable, there's the fear of somebody finding what you've been hiding.
That's right.
That's right. 100%. I want to recircle back to the police unions. Because when I found this out, you know, I have family members and friends who are NYPD. And they said when they got the Eric Gardner's murderers off those charges, they hired those attorneys to relearn tactics for the police in NYPD. And so in other words, I'm going to show you how to kill a nigga and get off. They rehired them. They were taking people who had desk jobs and told them, oh, you got to go back on the street because we got to teach you what to say and how to say it when this happens. Not we trying to prevent it from happening again, but when it happens again, here's what you have to say. And that's my issue with the unions because the unions are not concerned about human beings. The union is concerned about that blue code. And that's the biggest issue with these unions. They don't care about nothing else, but we're going to keep this wall and this is what's going to happen. And that's what needs to be busted up.
Well, the way to stop the codes, I mean, we're not going to do this, but we all should register and have firearms.
Yes.
And, you know, unfortunately, the only thing that Europeans really, what moves them is violence and money. So, I mean, you know, they go all out and complain about about how people, we need to defend ourselves. We don't need to
Yes.
go out and murder people, but we have to be in a position to defend ourselves even from them.
Yeah.
Because I'm tired of it, man. I mean,
Yeah.
and I use the term safari because that's what it is. And I looked, I forget the brother's name in South Carolina. He was running away from the cops, and the man shot him in the back 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
And he still got off. Did he get off?
Yes.
Yes.
He got off.
Yes.
So,
Because of the political structure in that town, in that city and state. You see, not only when you make up the rules, but when the rules fortify you, then you don't have to worry about anything. You can go into court. And you talk about the blue code. I don't have a problem with the police union per se. My mom's a retired officer in New York City. But I do have a problem with their legal department.
Right.
Because who they're hiring are criminals.
yeah.
That's who they're hiring. And these people, those are the ones that we have to get rid of because they can't do anything without them. So we have to step to those legal entities and make sure that we appeal and make sure that we bring them to task, because they're the ones sitting there telling a cop who knows he did the wrong thing, who might even want to say, you know what, I did it. I'll do the time. I know what I did. And they'll tell them, oh, no, you can't do that, because they want to maintain their hubris in order to make the money they're making. My daddy taught and told me when I was like 11, well, if you can't find out what's really going on, follow the money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Quick story. After I got out of the military, I applied for the Orlando Police Department. That's where I got out. I was there waiting. I had passed the test and done all the stuff. They were doing psychological evaluations and all of that. And there was a group of white guys that were, maybe 15 of them in a circle on a break. And, one of them was talking about how I can't wait to get on so I can kick nigga and spit ass. And then 2 years later, that same guy stopped me. There was nothing happened, but he told me what he was about. He said, I can't wait to get to be a police so I can whoop this nigga's ass without any repercussions and put him in the hospital. And now that has escalated. Now they're not beating ass; they're killing people. And we have to stop it. We talk about the involvement of white people, but we have to stop this. And part of the way that we stop that is if we come together as a people against this. Politically, economically, any way that we can, and physically if necessary.
Well, you know what? The fact that we don't stick together, you all know last week or 2 weeks ago, they gave Asians $50 million worth of reparations because of the killing, right? $50 million. Now, if you think about how many of us there are, that's not a lot of money to distribute.
No.
But the fact that they got paid already, that's just too much.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, $50 million they got. I'm thinking 2 weeks ago. Don't quote me though.
It wasn't that long ago. I just mentioned that to y'all brothers. That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
We were just talking about that. I think yesterday or something like that.
They got money and then they got very quiet. You see that?
Right.
But
I told you the first time they brought it into court, they brought it into question, they got what they asked for.
Mm-hmm.
The first time. Well, it's been over 400 years of effort, right?
Mm-hmm.
You feel me? So,
right.
Yeah,
yes,
it's crazy.
And you know what our problem is? We're over here and he's over there and she over there. We never walked in there together.
Yeah.
100% of one thing guarantees one thing is going to happen. And I don't know which direction it will go, but one thing is going to happen. We're all going to show up for an answer.
Mm-hmm.
I watch movies. I watch YouTube. When you in other countries, and I'm talking about third world countries that don't have nothing, when that government ain't doing right by the people,
oh man,
all of the people go to the government house. and they go there and they stand there. We want justice, or you get out of here. I'm not saying we're supposed to be like the 45ians, like the renegades. We don't have to do that. You don't have to go be that, but you have to do more than just a march with 16 people. I need 16, 17 million to say, okay, we going here today. We ain't going to work. Damn your job and everything else, because my kids need to live tomorrow. My grandchildren need to be able to drive down the street. And if they're speeding, that means they get a ticket and they're not going to be killed.
That's
I
right.
want them to go to court. I'd rather them go to court and pay a ticket than to be in a box at a funeral. And until we're willing to say we all going to do it, they're going to keep saying, okay, well, let them come. They'll be here 3 days and then they'll be gone.
Well, the Declaration of Independence says that it is your duty as a citizen if your government does not take care of you. If your protect and serve people don't protect and serve. If the farmers don't do right on the farm. I mean, it is your duty as a citizen. That's why the country was molded together. That's
why they had militias.
Exactly. That's right. You just threw me off. Because the militia was the beginning of the police department that we have today. That's it.
No, and some of them were because, okay, y'all not doing right. We got this militia if you don't come over here and do right. It was, but I'm saying there's a whole lot of things that we aren't participating in that if we did, it would change the dichotomy of our community, change the way we see things, change our participation in this government, in this realm of government, and change the way they treat us and the way they see us.
Do you ever notice that when we're really pissed about something and we say, well, we're not going to do this? Case in point, in New York, the head of, oh God, I don't want to call the wrong, it's like L'Oreal or Maybelline, one of them.
It was Maybelline.
It was Maybelline. Okay. One of the top cosmetic firms. The president or CEO happened to be from Asia. He happened to be Chinese, I think, or Japanese. He was Japanese. He came over and we, they wined and dined him. And at the summit meeting of cosmetics, he talked about, someone asked him about making cosmetics for women of color, for, African-American women. Now, I know I was going to Jackson in high school, but I remember this because my mother went crazy. So he says, for what? He says, I'm not making makeup for black people. He says, y'all are crazy. I wouldn't make anything for black people. The sister, what he didn't know is that sisters ran Manhattan. And those sisters that were playing secretary and administrator and computer tech, they were in charge of the foundation of the administration of Wall Street, okay? There's nothing but white men and black women downtown at 4:00 on Wall Street. You know that's true. So the sisters got angry and said, okay, we're going to fix him. They stopped buying his stuff on Monday. By Friday, they were talking about new colors and opening it up to people of color and all this exotic mess. 5 days it took. 5 days. We have such a powerful power of the purse.
Economic voice. Yeah.
That's it. We have so much power of the purse that we don't even realize it. Anytime you get 6 deep, 2 blocks down before Nike opens, come on. So
but I'm saying we have a day where we say buy black, and we still can't get blacks to buy back.
Let me, AJ, hold on. This is the day we need, and that's why I say this all the time. We need one day where we ain't gonna use no damn cell phone.
Yeah.
We ain't gonna buy no gas. We ain't going to no grocery store. The TV ain't coming on. We gonna cook out on the grill
and enjoy one another.
And let me tell you something. That next morning, if you turn the news on, they're gonna be saying, "What do y'all need?" Because we go to these call centers, and there's a whole bunch of black faces in there. So we are working. But what I'm saying is, if we stop that money from flowing, it ain't gonna take no 5 days if we all just say, "Oh, that's it." Okay. They will be. Listen, Biden will be on Martin Luther King Boulevard, and asking you, "What do y'all need?" Because this country can't make it without y'all. First of all, non-black people don't spend no money like we spend money. They not go. It's like a wino ain't afraid of running. It's only afraid of running out of wine. Rich people just afraid of running out of money. They ain't scared of nothing else. They will buy their way into heaven if you leave it up to them. That's their mindset. They're gonna pay for what they want. If the money stops, and I mean right now, if we decide tomorrow, goddamn it, ain't nobody going to work, don't turn that light on, don't turn the AC on, you ain't going to work. Who they gonna hire if we ain't going to work? They ain't gonna fire your ass because they ain't got nobody going to work. Who they gonna call to come take your job? Ain't nobody going for no interview. You ain't riding no bus. You ain't going to the gas station. You ain't getting no liquor from the liquor store today. Drink what's in your cabinet. That's it. Shut it down.
Look at the
overnight, huh?
Look at the sanitation workers with Martin Luther King. What they do?
That's right.
Those people walk to work.
Listen.
Okay.
And that's it. We stopped. There was a story that came out. There was a Walmart that went up in Chicago. Over the weekend, the Walmart made millions of dollars in the black community in Chicago.
That's right.
If you decide, damn it, Walmart, we ain't shopping in your damn store no more. We ain't coming in here no more. Walmart be on the phone with AT&T. Look how they calling. We need to figure out what they want. It is that simple. But we're so simple-minded. We can't live without the phone. We can't live without turning the light on. We can't. Oh, I gotta watch Love and Hip Hop and Basketball Hoes and all that stuff. I can't live without that.
Wait. You can't say Basketball Hoes out loud on this and not call a show right. That is not a reality show. Ain't a reality show called Basketball Hoes. I'm not letting you get away with that. It's Basketball Wives, even though they ain't married to them.
That's right. Even though they're not. Let's stop it.
Yeah, it's Basketball Wives, even though they're not married to them. So we're gonna correct that. We're not gonna let that live too long. That's sentence right there, because that is so wrong.
Slap on the wrist.
Yeah. Now slap your own wrist, slap your own hand, slap your own hand.
Listen, Susan Gillespie, the editor of Essence magazine. I was part of Central Florida 100 Black Women, and she came to ingratiated us with her appearance, and we had a 2-day event. One of the halls that we used was at one of the Disney pavilions. And so while we were there talking with her, we're sitting at the table just chatting like sisters do. And one of the vice presidents came over to her and introduced himself, took pictures, and he said, why don't you, he says, we never see Essence here. You do things all over the country. Why don't you come to Disney? We would open up our doors to you. You'd have so much fun. So he was really selling that Essence and all the other Black-owned publications should come. And she didn't even hesitate. She didn't even take a breath. She said, excuse me? She said, you have all these pavilions for all the countries all over the world, and you don't have an African pavilion to represent the largest continent in the world? She said, we will never come here. Oh, my God.
I remember that.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
Economic power.
Yes.
And for someone to try to create how you're so special, what she did was she says, no, because you're not doing it because you want me to be represented. And it never occurred to me. I walked around Disney. I said, the sister's right. There's no African pavilion. There's no pavilion that shows our civilization before slavery. There's none of that. And she just let him know. Like I said, she didn't hesitate. She didn't hiccup. And
they have an Old South pavilion.
Yeah. They have an Old South pavilion. Oh, wow. Okay. So my point is that economics is what we need to do. They know our buying power. The CEOs of Walmart knows the buying power. The CEO of Coca-Cola, of Red Bull, whomever. They know our buying power. What they don't want us to do is to think about that. Like the poor doctor 5 years ago that said, this year, all we're doing is buying black. She even had a car run down and she had to go out of her state to buy a car from a black dealership. That woman got more death threats than Obama. That's how they handled her.
Wow.
It's the same thing. The only thing they can use is fear.
Yeah.
The only thing they can use is fear and like AJ says, lack of education, lack of knowledge of who you are. Because
Yeah.
you're not going to tell me that 250 slaves were emancipated and they didn't do nothing to 5 masters that were. I don't get that.
No, but and, I was gonna say the knowledge thing too, because the example that you used, that when she said there was no African pavilion here, and you looked around and there wasn't. See, a lot of times we don't look around looking for us.
Yeah.
We don't look around and see, are we included in this thing? See, knowledge is so powerful that once you discover black is black, all you look, because people ask me, they say, why you write black? I say, because I'm not white.
Right.
Why are you writing all this black history? I say, because you need to know it, even if you're white.
Yeah, of course.
But when you start teaching people, they see themselves in everything that they see around them, and they're looking for people like them and the things around them. And when they don't see it, it matters.
Right. That's exactly. You can't unsee and unknow. And what Susan Gillespie did for me was to make me realize that you can't put your money and support things that don't support you. That's what she taught me. And so I appreciated that, because I enjoyed Disney because Lee was working there. So but the idea that I didn't see myself didn't bother me. I saw black people in Disney, so that was sufficient. It wasn't. That wasn't sufficient. You look at even Mexico and Britain and the American Pavilion, all those places, there's nothing. And she said, it's the largest continent. She said, so if you're going to ignore that, I'm going to tell you what she did for me. I got so woke that I'm a Weather Channel freak. I used to be a Weather Channel. I mean, I should have been a meteorologist because I love it. I stopped watching the Weather Channel because have you ever heard them say anything about Africa except when a hurricane comes and they say off the coast of Africa?
Wow.
That's
but they didn't say why. They didn't say who the hurricane was looking for.
Like people don't live in Africa. Like it doesn't matter. They never talk. They'll talk about China before they talk about Africa.
But if you look at it in context, for all these globes to be made, for all these maps to be made, for all these maps to be sold in the United States, to have Africa look like it's the size of the United States, somebody had to think that shit out.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
There had to be a bigger plan. There was a plan to say, okay, we don't need people to know that this is one of the biggest places, that you can fit this United States in this place right here, and we can touch the sides. They don't want people to know. So when we are unaware of the power of where we actually came from, because I tell Johnny, my sister did a cheek swab, my niece did, and they was talking about, oh, I'm 3% Irish and I'm this and that, and I need to meet my folks. And I was trying to tell them, I said, look, I didn't swab my cheeks because I have a problem with America creating a problem and then want me to pay to find a solution. So they created the problem that I don't know where I'm from, and now they want me to pay so they can tell me where I'm from, and I don't believe them. And plus, I don't want to meet the rapists in my DNA.
Yeah.
I don't want to meet the rapists in my downline, the rapists from the Irish and the French and the Russian. I don't want to meet because I don't think when they took the people in Africa, they took them to the shore, put them on a boat, took them somewhere else, let them, in a way station, took them out, went and sold them. So I don't know where they started dating Irish and dating French, and I don't remember those.
It's all about rape. It's all about rape. The only thing I want to know is it enough of a percentage that I need to look at the diseases that they have? You understand?
I didn't even go that far. I just had a problem initially with the concept.
Well, I did mine because I wanted to know who my people were, and I know, I know what my lineage is, and what country in Africa I'm from, and what tribe. But it also creates as many questions as it does, as answers. Because my tribe, there are 35 clans, so I don't know what clan I'm from within my people in Africa.
Well, I don't criticize people that want to know just because everybody else can know. Why can't we? But I will say this: the DNA, you know, when they swab your cheek, that I have a problem with them having my DNA because they don't use it all. But the DNA that they test tells them where the most people who have that kind of DNA structure is located. So it's like my dad's parents were from here, North Carolina, and they went up to New York because my grandmother wanted to be a singer. So now they can tell my dad, well, your people are from New York. No, your people are from North Carolina. Right now, the bloodline may be in New York, but we were migrating people. So it kind of gives you a sense of who to attach yourself to, but not enough to tell you. Because first of all, there are a lot of things that weren't in existence then. There are a lot of countries that weren't in existence. It may be Nigeria, the area in Nigeria where those people, more of those people have your blood, your DNA than anywhere else. I get that. But who's to say they didn't start in South Africa? Who's to say they didn't start in Egypt? You know, we have the Asiatic black man because we were trading with Asia before white people even knew we existed.
I just finished the poem. The title of the poem is DNA.
Where does the DNA?
And I started writing it as just a thought, but it became a problem once I actually delved into it because I was like, this ain't gonna be no fun to listen to. You know, but and I think that's where the origin of most of the work that I do is I wake up with an idea, and I have to figure out, okay, so how can I manifest this picture? Because you know, one day I woke up and I could see angels on this mountain, and there was this whole line of people, and the angels had cups that they were pouring into people's heads. So I call it the anointing. So it was the way we got our melanin. It was like these angels were charged with creating this concoction to bless us, to anoint us with melanin. So that was the idea. So I had to write the piece. So the piece would convey that thought, that idea, to make it manifest itself. And it was because I woke up with that idea that I had to write the piece.
Okay. So there were two questions out there. One is, after they do your DNA thing, what do they do with the DNA on the swab? Well, that's my problem.
It's sent to the FBI. Where everything else go.
That's true.
Yes. Yeah.
That's part of the DNA makeup.
Well, and the reason I say it is not a joke, because there was a policeman in California 50 years after he killed all these people. They captured him and arrested him because his son did a cheek swab. His grandson did a cheek swab. And they had DNA from the old case, and they traced the DNA back and found him, even though he didn't cheek swab, there was still someone in that double helix that they knew it was his bloodline that did this. So they had to find him, and they found him that way. So evidently the swab didn't just go to ancestry.com.
That's right. They can sell it. You know, you have to read the fine print. I know my brother did his swab. And so when he did it, he said that he got a notice from them that there wasn't enough DNA to do what they wanted to do. So he had to send more. And he told him, hell to the no. He's not sending no more because he might be like Henrietta Lacks and they.
Right.
That's exactly why most plasma places are in the black community. Because it's our plasma.
Yeah.
The melanin in the plasma is what's helping people who don't have melanin.
But the other thing is, a lot of the young kids that were being murdered or killed or missing, when they play sports, they have their DNA and they get their blood and they check all these tests. So I really believe that there's rich people out there that need body parts.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So because there were young men that were murdered that they were found without organs.
Yeah,
there was a lot of that, and I think when was that, in the late 90s, the late
90s and the early 2000s. I'm saying they were picking up kids and they didn't have organs, and they're like, okay, so what are organs? But most of them, their DNA was somewhere already.
Yeah.
So they knew there was a match. you know, on these kidney lists, on these heart lists, all these rich people, they say, hey, just find me a heart.
That's
Find
right.
me a kidney. I'm willing to pay whatever, top dollar. You know, because for a while they were actually picking up people that were harvesting, you know, in Mexico, they were harvesting kidneys at one time.
Yes, that's right.
So, and these are not accidents. I'm not creating an invasion of the body snatcher, just story for nothing.
No, it's a diabolical system. It's a diabolical system. I believe that those Atlanta murders or the missing children, that had a lot to do with it too.
And I don't think the black guy did.
No, he wasn't.
No.
Wayne
Williams, yeah. Well, you know, the other question you had on the table was, suppose your people were nomads. So what do? Then all you can do is know where the concentration of the people who have the same DNA as you, where they reside now. And you have to love the whole country because our people were all over the place. The connection would be with people who have the same DNA as you. Where are they located? Like the Hebrews down there, they can't get none of their DNA. They've been asking them, but they said they're the original Hebrews. They know all the tenets of being Hebrew, and they're not giving anybody anything. They almost didn't want to take pictures. But it's yeah, right, exactly. So
go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I'm finished.
I posted this link. This is from the New York Times, 2015.
Okay.
1.5 million black men missing.
Yeah.
They said of that, they found 83 black men that might have been in jail, but 1.5 million are just missing. Explain that. Just missing. That goes right to all of that organ trafficking and all those kind of things.
Well, you know, there's no doubt that it's being done because people used to wait a long time for an organ, and now pretty much, you know, doctors will tell you, well, you know, if you're not going to pay attention to our directives, then we're going to give this to somebody else. I mean, it is truly a business. It is truly a business. I have a cousin that wants to do herbal stuff, and they want to put him, he's 28 years old. They want to put him on dialysis, and he refuses to do it. So he's been doing an herbal way of living and homeopath, that type of stuff. And the doctor said, if you don't take the medicine that we're giving, he said, I have a kidney for you.
Wow.
But if you don't take the medicine, we can't give it to you because it means you're not going to take care of the kidney. That after you're not going to take the medicine that the kidney is that the kidney will need. And I think it's diabolical. And it's a big business now. It's undercurrent, but it's a big business.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So what we have to do, are we going to Elizabeth City? Because just like Josh said, we got to be there for our people. We got to be there. We have to make sure that they know that they're supported. You know, people who are in office, if you like what they did, you like who they stood up to, call their office. You don't have to speak to them, just leave a message. You can't imagine what that does for someone who is in the fight for us. Yeah. You know, we have to learn how to support people who support us. I know it's their job, but at the same time, you know, he's either going to take $200,000 from a CEO who wants to do fracking, or he's going to stay with you and say fracking is not good for the environment. Yeah. What do you want him to say? So
we have to
realize we've always been that. We've always been the people that we're not willing to appreciate a black person doing justice for us. But if a white person did it, we would circle around him and say, look what Massa done for us.
Okay, I understand that. But that's because we were taught, and I'm not saying you and I, but we were taught early on that we have no value. Yeah. You know, I was looking at a statistic. I whenever we have our Friday nights, I have to look at the statistics and to be able to let people know the data. And during mental health, when we were going over that, it was very difficult to find information about African American women. I found information about African American men, but not women. And then a statistic ran across me, and it stopped me from doing anything for the rest of the evening, that police kill more unarmed Black women than they kill unarmed Black men. And so after I got over it, I said, well, why? Let me see why. Let me go back. It's because we are at the bottom of the list. We have no value. And unless we're taking care of their babies, their house, or their office, we really are an irritant. That's why the angry Black woman, or the Black woman with an attitude, you put enough stigmas on that person so that nobody wants to be around them. When a person has no value, then whatever someone else does to them, it really doesn't matter. You can blame the victim like they're doing now.
It doesn't resonate. It doesn't resonate like that. You know, he had to do something. He was resisting arrest, you know, had to do something.
Mhm.
You know, what did he say?
When I saw that, what I thought they were trying to do was kill the Eve gene, because you know, Black women are the only women that can have any type of baby. We are the original people, and so when I saw that, I said, "Wow, they're trying to get rid of
Eve gene."
The people who can create anything."
And so that's a statistic that you wouldn't hear, but you have to be a researcher. You have to be your own researcher. If you're interested in something, look it up and go down that rabbit hole, go deeper, because nothing I've ever studied did not include us. Anthropology, you know, anything that I've ever studied, it started with us. So if you'll find yourself, you keep going deeper and deeper into any study. History, we got that.
Yeah.
Science, we got that. They were doing heart transplants before this country had presidents.
That's right. Removing cataracts and everything with a hollow needle. Yeah. I need to share this text that I just got. A friend of mine works at a funeral home here in Charlotte.
Okay.
And it says, Hester Ford, who was America's oldest living person, died at her home in Charlotte, North Carolina on April 17th.
Oh.
And she was 115 years old, a Black woman, and she's going to be buried here at her funeral home. I just got the
What's the name again? What's that name?
Hester Ford.
Hester. Mm-hmm.
Yes, Hester. I'm gonna post it so you can have it.
Yeah, do that.
She's a Black woman.
So that's what should go on our WhatsApp tonight.
Oh yeah.
Somebody asked the question about nomadic clans when we were having the DNA discussion, and I guess my answer to that would be that I guess it's been close to 10 years, and now they went to the geneticists, World Genetic Council they mapped the entire genetic genome or whatever, and what came out of that was what we've always known, that the only 100% human beings on this earth are Black people, are people from Africa. Asians, Europeans all have a percentage of Neanderthal DNA in them. And so, you know, we are the, what is it? Europeans are recessive trait. I mean, that's all recessive. And so I think that they're angry at that in some way. I forgot why I brought that up.
It need to be said. You know, because Coach John always say, you know, these cave people, this what he always revert back to something like, you know, because my argument was that.
Let me quote it properly. I'm gonna quote it properly. You ain't never seen a Black caveman, a Black Viking, or a Black barbarian. Never.
Now wait a minute. Wait a minute. The first Vikings were Black.
I didn't know that. I've never seen it though.
Yeah.
Well, look it up. You've never seen it, but the first
They're not going to show you.
they're
that.
not going to show you that. But you know, the first Vikings they say were black.
Oh wow.
You know, that. Look that up.
Oh, I am.
That's some homework.
Gotcha.
You know,
But it ain't no cavemen and no
No.
barbarian.
No cavemen. And their idea of Vikings is very different. You know, the European, I guess, model of being a Viking is somebody who's a marauder who rapes, pillages, burns, and steals.
Right.
You know, the Phoenicians have been sailing the seven seas since before Christ. So,
Yeah, Phoenician.
so they, you know, and yes, Phoenicians are African. If anybody didn't know that.
Oh, selling our.
Oh yeah, melanin. They sell melanin,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
it's more expensive than gold.
Oh yeah.
I forget what the exact price was, but you know.
I know. I heard that the other day, and the price was astronomical. I was impressed.
Say again,
I said, what
I
are
say
they
the
doing
price
with
was
it?
astronomical.
what they do is they can put it in people who don't have melanin to give themselves color, or people who are very light who have problems with the sun. Melanin helps them to be able to to withstand the sun.
So they're injecting it in themselves, basically.
Yeah,
Yeah, intravenous.
it's a
Yeah,
protection.
I was going to extract a couple of ounces for myself.
They got
Yeah, shit.
they got I just read a post from January 2015. At that time, melanin was often going for $350 per gram.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was 2015.
It's a lot more now.
Oh yes, way more than that now, I'm sure.
Yeah, and they're saying in the interest of science and disease, but we don't have this disease,
Mm-mm.
and so it is helping people with different types of diseases where they're too light to go out. That's not a disease. If you're too light to go out, you're just too light to go out.
That's
But
it.
that's not a disease if you can take a little bit of sun. But you know that it's not being used for that. What I've learned is that they're using it in the cosmetic
Yeah,
industry.
lips, cheeks.
Okay, now the cheapest melanin now in 2020 is $511 per gram.
Again.
Okay.
Yeah,
Gold is less than that.
gold is only
We all
$38.
go down to Wall Street and get on the stock market right now.
Gold is $53 a gram.
There you
Yeah.
go. There you go.
So 10 times now, that's 10 times the price, damn near. How about that?
I told you.
Okay, now I got a question for everybody on here. Okay, so what can we do starting right now to enhance our ability to build a better community?
Educate your people. Educate your people. I mean, if they don't know what you know, you're not doing your job. If they don't know what day sanitation comes, if they don't know who their elected officials are, not just elected officials, if they don't know I know the pharmacist, and I know the manager of the store that I go to. That's just somebody I need to know, because when I walk in with a problem, or if I just walk in and I need something changed, or will you please buy this because I come here a lot, I need him to say, okay, Miss Diane, we're going to do that. Absolutely. Absolutely. So education, you have to educate your people. My God, I had my experience with that was years ago when I talked to a young man who absolutely positively was not going to vote. He wasn't going to vote for Obama. He wasn't voting for nobody. And I explained the process, and I said, this is wonderful, and we'll have our first, this is in 2008. And sitting there talking to him, saying, your child, he was about 19, but he already had a baby. I said, your child will be able to run for president by the time he gets older, because now Obama will have broken the seal. Anyway, he bought it hook, line, and sinker, and he voted. And
Wow.
then he got mad with me because he said, you didn't tell me that a college is making the decision. My vote didn't count. So I had to explain the electoral college to him, and I felt bad because I didn't educate him properly. He said, I'm not voting no more. What's the sense? The colleges, and then I had to explain the Electoral College. That little bit of trust that I got with him, I lost, you know, and so I lost it because of my own ignorance and not really giving him everything that he needed to understand the process. And I'm gonna tell you the truth. If you take a 19 or 20-year-old black young man or young woman today, they're not happy with the Electoral College. Their whole thing is, they look at the Electoral College as a stopgap for the person who has the most money can win. That's what it is.
Yeah.
George W. Bush didn't win that election against Gore. His brother in Florida. Yeah. So we have to let them understand. It's not like we've been sitting here not doing anything about the problems that occur in our African American lives. What we've been doing is putting our fingers in the dike because it keeps leaking all over the place. What we need for them to do now is to be even more educated than us and circumvent the system. They can see it coming. Now they can see foolishness coming.
But you know, I think Trump and a couple of people said before, they say, if we don't create some hindrance for all these minorities voting, we will never win office again.
They've already said it.
Yeah,
they've already said it.
I know it, but I'm saying, no, that's what they said. That's what they're trying. That's why 43 states is trying to enact over 150 laws to you know, at least slow down the black vote, or make you think your vote don't count, or just hinder you from going, or put you in jail for handing somebody some water.
When you are a colonizer and not a creator, your mind would make you think that putting laws in place so that people will not be able to vote and contribute to what we call democracy is better than not going out there and canvassing and showing the Republican Party or the Democratic Party being the best party for you. They don't even want to do the work anymore.
They don't say what they stand for. They just say what they don't want from you.
Yeah.
But the idea that they're not even going to work at it in our face, they're not even going to work at it. They're not trying to increase their numbers. Matter of fact, they don't like to govern, so they like small government. Small government means what? That means
they don't have to do nothing.
That means less people looking. You know, instead of 100 senators, let's just do 100. Let's just do 50. They like small government because they don't want anybody watching them. They're constantly stealing at the store. They are colonizers. They are not people who create.
Yeah, and that's why they're afraid of Washington, D.C. becoming a state.
Oh my goodness. Is that so obvious or what?
Because it changes the
and it's the second time. It's the second time it's about to pass in the House.
Puerto Rico too.
Yeah.
Because what people don't realize is the Tani people were Africans. Those Taino people who were Africans, those are the first Puerto Ricans. So you know, they don't want those people. If you go to Puerto Rico, everybody looks like me, just about, up in the mountains all over the place. Absolutely.
My answer to your question is a little different.
Yeah.
She's looking at me.
No.
You know, but the scripture says, but the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, and peace. And my thing is, if we love one another better and come together and treat each other with respect and collaborate, not just here, but, you know, if Africans collaborated across the diaspora, and we're together on one accord because we love and we love each other enough that we respect who we are. And in Chicago, if those kids loved each other enough so that they would rather just do a fist fight than shoot somebody in the head, we'd be better off. You know, we come from the richest continent on the earth, yet our people on every continent are the poorest people, and I think that has to be changed. And the only way to change it is if we respect one another, we love one another, and we collaborate and do business with one another and create our own economy. That's why they killed Gaddafi. people don't want to hear it, but what Gaddafi was doing was creating an African currency that would be backed by gold and oil and all the resources of the continent of Africa. And so the International Monetary Exchange said, oh, hell no, we can't do that, because then their money will be worth more than mine.
Exactly.
So they killed that man because that, they talked about the terrorism and all of that. That was total BS. They killed that man because he wanted Black African to have its own currency, and that currency would have been more valuable than anything else because it was backed by something that exists and not this paper that we print that we don't have any backing for here. So, I didn't mean to go on.
No, that's all right.
Oh no, you good. You good. You good. You good.
That's all right. I know I gotta leave soon. We got another thing at 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
I keep popping in and out, but I'm working on something.
It's all good.
But you know how time flies on 10 times now? Maybe time flies 10 times faster.
Yeah. Well, we enjoy these so much. We don't even see the time. But we have a 10 o'clock Zoom we got to get on. But we wanted to make sure we stopped by here. We certainly wanted to talk about Andrew Brown. I think that all of us, when we leave this particular call, this particular CAT podcast, we need to do something. If it's to call the Attorney General, if it's to call the governor, whatever you feel you need to do, but somebody needs to be addressed. Somebody needs to be uncomfortable tomorrow because you made a statement or you made a call. And you guys, not only do you have the spoken word, but you have the gift of the written word as well.
Yeah.
And you need to, every publication in Charlotte should have an editorial or a letter to the editor from you talking about what's going on. And you find that you're not alone in your thoughts. Some people don't know how to pull it together, or some people are afraid. And so we have to make our voices heard by the avenues that have been created for us until we create our own avenues. There are some Black publications that are out as well, and I think they might have gone online, but we need to just find them, support them, and anything that we don't like, do what they do, because they go right to the source and get it and get it taken care of. We need to be like that, and we are like that. We just don't think it's going to work. I contend that it will.
Yeah.
Most excellent.
Yeah.
But I want to thank y'all. I want to thank y'all for always showing up, for coming with the knowledge and coming with an open heart and an open mind, and just discussing whatever we ask and just come. Now, I appreciate y'all for sure. I really do.
We appreciate you having this forum.
Yeah.
Let's face it, conversation can create, and it can change things. I call it the three C's. Conversation can change, and it can create. Absolutely. So thank you for giving your time, because y'all could be doing something else, but you're not. You're here. You're here.
Well, y'all know I love y'all to the moon and back.
Oh yeah, same here. You
And
too,
I know I'll see y'all tomorrow. I'm so glad that y'all were able to make it. Y'all welcome here anytime. You can just call me and I'll just go ahead and get online anyway. It don't even matter. It can be 2 o'clock.
We would love to come every Thursday, but it's a long day for us.
I understand. Well, thank y'all for your time for coming today.
Thank you so much.
All right. See y'all. Don't work so hard tonight.
I know I didn't get to say much. I had these machines running, so I was trying to just be more observant and listening. But y'all hit on so much stuff tonight. It was beautiful. And the key thing is, we are the test study. Everything that they do and how they move, they studying us to do. Everybody's studying us but us. So we need to get back to knowing who we are, get the information, and study the hell out of it. So I appreciate y'all for bringing forth what y'all did.
You know we love you. Listen, y'all get that $150 together and go on and let Mr. Wiss sign up to run for something, okay?
Sound good to me.
I don't know if I'm ready for all that, but you know, I'm definitely on board for whatever it takes to get us who we need.
Well, you know what?
So,
What's going to stimulate you? Work for somebody. Work on a campaign. Work on a campaign for somebody you believe in and who believes in your issues. And you'll never. I've never turned around. I thought I was going to be a doctor or something. And I've never turned around. I believe it works. Yeah.
All right, y'all.
Mr.
Take
AJ,
I appreciate that
Good
for real.
AJ, take care of yourself, my brother. He's so, he's so full. He got a whole book there. He didn't show it. He got a whole book.
When we're in Dallas, we'll holler at you.
He got a book of interest. That's what it's called, right? It's a book of interest. And he's
That's it. I take notes on notes on notes.
I'm telling you, he got a book. I know he got a book.
Mhm.
We love you
All right.
all.
Much
All right,
love,
love y'all.
Much love, y'all.
Namaste.
Miss
Thank
Miss
you. Bless you.
Miss Shawnetta, I know you've been here, and I'm not sure if you have anything you want to say or talk about. Please feel free to speak, because I know we've been doing a lot of talking. I know you said you were working, but we definitely want to give you time. I know Miss Diane invited you to the platform, and I definitely want to give you time to speak if you'd like to.
I am just listening tonight, with being my first time joining. I'm definitely enjoying the conversation and glad that I had the opportunity to come on. So
Awesome. Once Miss Diane tell me what to do, I just do it. I don't even think about it. And she said you needed to be on here, and that was all I needed to know. That's my family right there. I love them to pieces. I'm telling you, and very grateful.
well, look, we've been family for a long time.
Good. So you know as well as I know. Once you good with them, you good with everybody.
Exactly. So definitely keep me informed when you have your next podcast, and hopefully I can be a little more engaged.
Gotcha. Well, we're here every Thursday, 7
Okay.
p.m. And
Okay.
you know, we as you see, we come on. We talk about the topics that need to be spoken about. We're always talking about voting. I'm not
Okay.
going to say we're talking about politics. We're talking about voting. And so politics is the argument. Voting is the action. I'm talking about the action. And we're
Right.
always talking about that. But we always want to talk about what's going on in the community. And what other people want to talk about, things that we may not know, things that may just need to be addressed. And we want to make sure that when we have people here, whether they're in the comments or whether they're on, if there's something in particular that we have not addressed that stands out, it's nothing too small or too big. I mean, we're here for it. I have a lot of things. I'm sure AJ and Wits do too. But this is what this is for. So we can talk to our people about our situations, about our communities, and how we begin the process of making things better. And so that's why we're here.
Okay. Thank you.
So yeah, just let me know, and we're here, right, AJ?
Okay.
We'll be here. And thank you for coming. Thank you for your due diligence for coming through and just hanging with us. I really do appreciate that. And thank you for listening.
Thank you. I've definitely enjoyed it.
Yeah. AJ is always the one to acknowledge everyone on their follow through. It doesn't matter what your follow through is; he will always acknowledge you for that in itself. And I think that is an amazing trait. So thank you for that, AJ.
That is.
Yeah.
Well, you know, because I tell you, I believe dreams don't care about talent at all. It just cares about follow through.
That's it.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, we've been on here for 2 hours and 50 minutes. It don't seem like it, but I think I can go eat some dinner now. I think we.
But I think both of y'all need to do a poem. It's one day left in National Poetry Month.
Oh, it is. Y'all two need to do a poem. I wait for.
I said it first. I said it first. I don't want thought of it.
Okay. Now I gotta look at a poem to do over here. AJ must whip that out on me. I'll read this poem that I wrote earlier today. It's a short poem too. These footprints seem so familiar. I'm guessing we've been here before. Standing on avenues that used to be dirt roads, the bayous and boulevards that we call home, call it the hood, call it the ghetto, Somehow it still smells like plantation, still tastes like imprisonment, sounds like divided unions fighting over possessions, over taxation and property. Seems like black life still topples the stock markets. They leave us lined in the streets, blood stained on pavement or auction block ready. Black always the common denominator. I'll tell you who runs the hood. Be it Blue Steel or Blue Shield, a code of silence, you can cash checks on their alibis. They will tell you everything your eyes can't see. Make your innocence choke hold you like damaged lungs. I can't breathe. Not unless they say so. Seems it found a rewind like slam poetry. I guess that's how we make it pretty. Give it a necktie for Sunday school. Present it as a character witness for murdered black victims. Now the whole world gasps. Made it hip hop worthy. Made it ready for the next Tom, Dick, Harry, or Sam, Cook County to New York City. They ain't never gonna see you breathe properly. And everything they've said never gave us no freedom. And in fact, it usually says you should stay home.
I'm about to talk to you about them opening two lines. Because you'll see what I'm talking about in a minute. You'll see it.
Okay. Wits, where you at? I think it's you first. AJ made us go first.
I know it felt like a setup.
It's not a setup. Ain't no setup. Ain't no setup when it comes to y'all. It sounds like a double team to me.
Well, you know, I wrote this morning. Still trying to work out the kinks. So I've been saying it a couple of times today, just trying to feel it. But this piece is entitled, I found the title for it. I entitled it Photo Shoot. At what age do you warn black boys of Blue Steel? That bullets have no names or wings when they fly? That triggers go off in the hands no matter if they're aiming or posing? Don't turn into a photo shoot. Ever since I was young, I can remember seeing pictures of the young in other countries and their assault rifles, arms taller than the height of the juvenile bodies that attempted to carry them. To some, they were no more than young soldiers fighting a war for land and freedom in their country. To others, they are visions of what is considered to be rebel and even gangster. Ain't like they ain't make gun toys for young boys, grenades and shit for us to prepare or pretend. These are the gifts that you get on birthdays, Christmas, and holidays and whatnot. And they wonder why black boys in America photo shoot their guns. After all that pretending, so glad to have one, only a matter of time before the opportunity presents itself to play with the one dad has in his room. Ain't an unexplored window nor room in a black house. You never think about it till your space is invaded. Maybe you could have found a better place to hide it. Maybe you should have never left it in the first place. None of which can difference you from now. He said they just were messing around. He said they were just messing around, wanting to take a few pictures, a couple of poses, and he put it right back where he found it. He didn't check to see if it was even loaded at first. He didn't think it through. His looking down the nozzle, never saw the barrel click, the trigger leaned back. He never thought in a million years the gun would go off. That I'll being curious would end his life. If I could go back in time to the day in question, I will backtrack the bullet back out of his skull. I will walk him back out of our parents' closet. I just want to laugh for my brother again, he said. Honest to God, it was an accident. When young like that, leave this world, who mourns with the family? I always wonder why the young need to die so soon. I always wonder why the young ready to die so soon. Why bullets are so masculine to growing young male. Beware the stare when you are passing the wheel. Once you steal the innocence, you can't give it back. At what age do we warn black boys of blue steel? That bullets have no names or wings when they fly? That triggers go off in the hands, no matter if they're aiming, opposing. Don't turn into a photo shoot.
Damn. Yeah, I thought you don't need to edit that, man.
It still got a couple of roughs. I gotta smooth it out so that
Nah, it's just you need the rough spot is you reading it. You just need to read it.
that might be it too.
The poem is perfect. The poem is perfect. You just got to
the
work on
rough
your
spot is
transition.
you reading, yeah.
Okay, this is DNA. I've been here before, is what my feet say. My back can't remember how it felt to be unscarred. I've been here before is what my breath tells me. Can't recall how it left so abruptly. Who took it? Why is we's back again? How come free ain't come yet? Where that? Promised it was gonna be here at least by now. We don't know how many generations visit this body. Most are not aware of what DNA stands for or how many it represents. Deoxyribonucleic acid. These are genetic instructions all those who passed before us used to come back. I've said some things before I know I wouldn't have said if my mouth had not been taken over. Maybe I acted somewhere towards you that seemed odd. That wasn't me. See, I'm sure of it now. That was some of them come back using me to say what they wanted to say. Maybe if I explain how late at night I convene, summon, beckon, bid, beg a conference with these black angels, with the gone, the taken. They say they've been waiting to tell us things. Needing a medium to talk with, talk through, or offered me up, or whether they took me over, told me I'm not American. Explain how them in power keep forgetting we built this America, this country, these states, counties, these villages, these cities, how the indigenous taught them to form, to grow before they slaughtered them, took their land, how we built whatever you're living in, driving around. We's the ones got rid of them horse and carriages, made them lights turn green and red, made that hitch to them trains. I've been here before. It's what my hands claim. Fingers want to be free, want to unwrite some of them documents, all of them lies told before publishing became popular, before they hand-signed pages made of hemp, wrote signatures in cursive. Why you think America stopped teaching cursive writing in schools? They don't want them come after us be able to read what's behind glass in the museums, hidden in canvases, hidden in caves at the White House, in the basement, at the Vatican. What is redlining? Is there someone named gerrymandering, manipulating lines of jurisdiction, of jurisprudence? What is intrinsic? Who elected Jim Crow to the Senate? Why he sound the same as he did centuries ago? Why I gotta wait on 60% of the people who don't like me to vote, to ratify my right to cast one? What is systematic? Why banks identifying us as bad investments? How come it took years for them to let us buy houses? Why are dollars abandoning our community as if they scared? Why blacks don't buy blacks consistently? Why we say Black Lives Matter every time somebody else kills us, but not when we kill us? This ain't me talking. Told you some of them gone, got questions, got shit they need to tell us, been wanting to get this pressure off their chest way before someone forced their heart to stop. I've been here before, is what my feet say. Why we still marching? Why ain't we home yet? Where's home? How come we can't find our family? Where you put them? How come black blood still running in these streets? Can someone turn off the faucet? Why the police still chasing us? Why they stacking bodies now? How many does it take to fill a refrigerator truck? How many bodies it take to fill a landfill? Can you imagine how many niggas disappeared, claim COVID the culprit? They say there's a 60% chance we don't make it. But there's always been a 60% chance we don't make it back home, to the store, to the game. It's been that way since they added black bodies to the mathematical equations. There's a high percentage we don't make it. walking, marching, running, driving, sleeping, sitting, eating ice cream in our living rooms. I've been here before, is what my breath said. Can't recall how it left so abruptly. Who took it? Why is we's back again? How come free ain't come yet? Where it at? It promised it would be here, at least by now.
Man.
How we write the same poem? We put the same language.
I tell you the opening 3 lines of your poem is. Okay, read your opening 3 lines one more time. Read those.
My opening 3 lines. It said, oh no, that's not it. That's not it. It said, these footprints seem so familiar. I'm guessing we've been here before. Standing on avenues that used to be dirt roads, the bayous and boulevards that deep call home. That sounds just like the poem you just read.
I know. It's what my feet say.
That's what my
I don't know what I'm gonna do with y'all two.
I don't know. Well, listen, man. Thank everybody for tuning in. We appreciate y'all for tuning in and being here and just sharing life about our people and what's next for us. We got so much work to do, but we're moving forward in progress by just putting it out there. And just being here is giving us the energy we need and the thought process to kind of get us aligned with what we need to be doing next. So everybody who took the time to be on this feed, thank you. Everybody who tuned in and left messages, those of you who are sharing it, we appreciate you so much. And you know, I mean, that's it. I don't know if y'all got anything else y'all want to add to before we get out of here.
Not to say, you know, this is 10 times now, man. I appreciate Mr. Witz, Coach Ja. I appreciate everybody that came through. And just know that every day you have a choice at excellence. Just choose it.
Just choose it. That's
Say
it.
that, man. You brothers are amazing. You already know I can't express it enough. You know, this was ordained by the Most High that we have this union. And I'm grateful to be here to walk with you, gentlemen. And for those that are out there, we all definitely appreciate you. Every time that you tune in, you should get some sort of food, some sort of knowledge. So you are also growing, and you're also allowing yourself to be better than you was yesterday. So let's just keep shining our light for the universe to see. Yeah, we can do great things, amazing things together.
Yeah. All right. And with that, we'll see y'all next week, same time, same channel. Peace, love, and we will be great together. Y'all be good. Peace.
Peace.